Welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast, prideofdetroit.com, Pride of Detroit on X, Pride of Detroit on Blue Sky, Pride of Detroit on Facebook. You know where to find us. You know where we're at because for 9 years running, going on 10 soon, we will be bringing you the best damn Lions content out there. The 9-10 thing, I don't even think that made it as a scrap, our inability to count that one time. Detroit Lions podcast. We talk about the Detroit Lions. What else will we talk about? You know where to find us. Get us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, and live now on twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit and youtube.com/@Pride of Detroit. The Pride of Detroit crew is myself, Chris Perfett, the adequate host at Perfett on Blue Sky, at Chris Perfett on X, Jeremy Reisman, the fearless leader at Detroit Online. Hi, Jer.
What's up, guys? I don't know why, but it feels like it's been a while since we've done this, even though it's just been a week, like normal.
It's only been a week, but it feels like it's been a very long week.
Yeah.
And not just because I have been like mainlining blueprints for like 8 hours a day, but that might have been part of it too. But we're not here to talk about video games. We're here to talk about the Detroit Lions. And what are we talking about today, Jeremy?
So the state of I'm calling this the state of the roster address, where we're going to go through their Lions roster position by position, talk about where they're at, maybe remind people that this is a very good roster, and kind of look ahead to some camp battles and some.
Disagree. Needs an edge.
No, stop it.
Needs an edge. More edge.
Hey,
more edge.
Wait till the second segment. We're just going to spend 90% of it.
The title needs some work. State of the roster. We could have been doing something else. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
I'll take it.
Ryan Matthews. At Ryan_POD. Hi, buddy.
Hello, Chris.
You're wearing a Red Wings hat today. There's some drama in the POD Slack about, is Ryan allowed in on Red Wings, Jeremy? I was not a part of this conversation earlier.
He's just a disgruntled fan at this point, which is understandable, but I like to rib him about it because he can be very cynical about them, which again, like I understand, but
I was going to say that feels appropriate for the state of that whole place, Ryan. I'm with you.
This podcast needs a Batman. I'm just going to throw that out there.
This town needs an enema. What doesn't need an enema is the Detroit Lions roster, which is well put together. Do not look at me like that. You set me up. The Detroit Lions roster, which we will be going on position by position. And as Jeremy said, he believes is in a very good spot right now. The Athletic disagrees when it comes to the draft, apparently, with their system that clearly needs a kick in the butt. But where do we start? We're going to start with the offense. You have quarterback at the top, but I feel like there's really not much for me to talk about right there. I want to go to where it's spiciest.
Just go in a normal positional order.
Okay, quarterback.
Thank you.
Jake Fromm.
You're changing the plans on us.
I know.
Spontaneously.
I know. I just throw you curveball after curveball. Jake Fromm was cut. So
was.
Kyle Allen versus Hendon Hooker.
Yes.
That's your camp battle.
It is. And I think it's at least worth talking about because, I mean, the Lions have been relatively lucky in terms of like their starting quarterback not getting injured basically since he's been here. And I mean, obviously we don't have any insight to where Hendon Hooker is at right now, but you know, the fact that they weren't comfortable starting him in the playoffs shows there's still a level of trust he needs to earn with his coaching staff. And I think like if you're trying to point for like, you know, poke at this roster and be like, okay, where is it at least a little vulnerable? Like, I think backup quarterback is at least part of that conversation, right?
Yeah, and I think that speaks to the Kyle Allen signing, right? And I don't think, generally speaking, there wasn't like too much shock and awe over that signing. And they didn't draft a quarterback, and I don't think any of us would have expected them to draft a quarterback to be the immediate backup. It's interesting. Like it'll just be interesting to see. It almost feels like, Chris, that this training camp is a make or break training camp for Hendon Hooker, so to speak. Not that they're gonna wash their hands of him, because he still has 23, 24, 20, he still has a 26 year under contract, but I mean, this is going to be a very telling summer for Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, and I think we kind of got the hints of it. It all goes back to their unwillingness to throw him in there during the playoff game to put in Teddy Bridgewater, who was seasoned, had the experience, and I know that's kind of already had. I mean, we've talked about it plenty about how much that shows trust or lack thereof in Hendon Hooker. I've just been of the belief Kyle Allen isn't really that skilled enough to really push him, but like it is a veteran presence on the depth chart, which I feel like if nothing else on a depth chart, you want a veteran quarterback either as QB2, QB3, just because of the experience involved in that position. But it's definitely a move to push Hooker, I believe. I'm just not sure what exactly, we're expecting to see out of him that would really set a bar, so to speak, that show that he's secured QB2, Jeremy. Like, what would you really, if we were going to have to qualify this, Jeremy, what would you really need to see Hendon Hooker do that you haven't seen from him so far that you feel like this would secure his place on the roster as quarterback 2 over Kyle Allen?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, there's not a ton you can accomplish in the preseason. Yeah, but he's going to probably play an extra preseason game, right? The Lions have the Hall of Fame game now, so they're going to have
they'll have four preseasons.
Total preseason games. But I think, like in general, the one thing that I was most concerned about Hendon Hooker when we finally saw him in training camp last year was just the ability to go through his progressions in a timely manner. He's holding onto the ball too long. He's taking unnecessary pressure, unnecessary sacks. He also was running maybe a little bit more than he should without sliding. So that would be a nice thing to see him improve upon, but it's hard to quantify. Like, it's not like, oh, well, you need to have a 105 passer rating in the preseason. It's more just I need to see progress in his ability to react to defenses in a timely manner so that the ball is getting out of his hands in one way or another before pressure comes.
Breaking the huddle on time.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. It's like on the Hendon Hooker bingo card now every time we talk about him. But like I think that more so speaks to what you're saying is like there aren't really like numbers to look at in the preseason, so to speak. They're going to be like pass fail, but you just need to see the entire body of work and you need to see it be more consistent and you need to see that from like game 1, right? You need to see it like early on in training camp leading into that Hall of Fame game kind of thing, So fingers crossed. Because I agree. Like, I mean, any team in the NFL is screwed if they don't have their starting quarterback, but the Lions really don't have anybody, I guess I would feel super comfortable like running the ship for any extended period of time.
Yeah. And I guess that's my only issue here is like because if it fell to Teddy Bridgewater, like, okay, Ryan, like that was fine. I don't know if I can say the same if it's like Kyle Allen. If like assume this is the problem is like assuming Kyle Allen this doesn't work and Kyle Allen ends up being the better quarterback over Hendon Hooker. A Hooker's whole career is kind of in question at that point, but B, like it means the Lions QB2 is Kyle Allen. That's not great either.
That is worst case scenario from now until week 1 is that Kyle Allen is the backup because I don't think he's even legitimate competition for Hendon.
I want to. Yeah, I want to know real quick though. Do you get the sense that there would be a 4th guy that gets brought in?
I mean, yeah. Are you saying if
like during training camp?
I mean, it's possible. They're having a rookie minicamp is this upcoming week, and they're going to bring in the Eastern Michigan guy. I forgot his name, but I don't
like a veteran guy. Like I don't know. Like
I think Kyle Allen is a veteran guy. Like I think if there's a room for a 4th guy, it's probably going to be the developmental type.
So what you're saying is after the Browns cut Shadur Sanders.
God damn it. Running back.
That can't build with Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco.
Running back.
All right, let's move on. Yeah, let's move on to running back where there's even less drama here. And that's look, no one's pushing Montgomery or Gibbs. So Lions added some UDFAs, but really this is a really deep battle between Sione Vaki, who's under a rookie control, UDFAs, and Craig Reynolds for a running back 3 position. And Sione Vaki already has the leg up because special teams play, Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the real story here is like how further along is Sione Vaki as a running back now? That's the storyline, because I think when you draft him when they did, it isn't like, hey, we just want a 4-core special teamer. Brad said it all the time. He's like, wow, like Vaki was doing some really advanced stuff as a running back without mastering the position. I wonder what can happen once he masters the position. And so now he's had a full off season, a full season to garner those skills, to learn the position. And I'm just kind of curious what that's going to look like. He's going to have a new position coach in Tashard Choice, but I'd like to see him carve out a role on offense. But that's kind of a wait and see thing. And the tough part about running back and like watching during practices is, there's mostly not live tackling. And so it's hard to assess running back play other than, maybe in the passing game, maybe in like one-on-ones and route running and pass blocking and things like that. But, I think that's a it's almost like getting an extra rookie a little bit, seeing Sione Vaki this offseason just to see how much he's progressed in learning a new position.
Yeah, and I think both those guys, though, like the point that you made, Chris, about Vaki having the leg up, at 308 special team snaps last year, four phase special teamer. But Craig Reynolds had 285. So, I again, I think it comes back to who do they feel more comfortable being the David Montgomery replacement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there is no Jahmyr Gibbs replacement in the NFL. So,
right.
But is there a bruising guy that you can trust to short yardage situations, is going to make the right play at the right time, and you can trust protecting Jared Goff when you need to have a guy in there to protect Jared Goff. So I think those are the most important things. And personally speaking, like I still think Craig Reynolds is that guy right now. Like Sione Vaki will have to win that job. But I totally think he's capable of it. I think that there's room for both these guys on the roster, though.
Yeah,
I guess I'm just trying to game out like they'll definitely keep 4 running backs deep. So then it's just a matter of those 2 guys versus the UDFA's, and I'm not really giving Anthony Tyus or Kai Robichaud much of a hope in that regard, unless one of them has the camp of their lives. But like they like Reynolds, they like Vaki. I don't really see them go to RB3, so like even less drama because they'll keep both those guys. They'll keep the bruiser that they like in Craig Reynolds, and they'll keep Vaki because, rookie running back contract.
Right. And part of like when I saw the UDFA list to begin with, like, oh, 2 running backs. That's interesting. I wonder if there's something going on in that position. Then I'm like, oh wait, they literally just need bodies. Like they don't want 4 guys running when you're running 3 deep, teams on offense and defense. So I think
especially
those
rookie mini camp,
right. And plus, like a guy like Craig Reynolds, he isn't going to be around forever. If you can develop a Craig Reynolds on your roster, and whether it's Kai Robichaud or Tyus, maybe those guys spend a year or 2 on the practice squad and develop into something beyond that. Because if I'm not mistaken, Craig Reynolds was also a UDFA, right? Like sometimes you just build your way up from it. Let's
talk one place which actually the draft did impact, and that is at the wide receiver position. I think Tesla is going to have we talked about this. This isn't just a depth thing for the Lions when it comes to Tesla. I think he's probably going to see some snaps all like week 1, I would even say. But where do you really put him on this roster right now? And I guess the question is for the Detroit Lions, because I know they've picked up a couple of UDFAs as well. But also on top of that, there was the Dominic Lovett pick in the 7th round for the Detroit Lions. And look, they let go of Antoine Green, his career obviously just hampered by just a really rough string of injuries on top of everything else. So you bring in Lovett, as now we're down to wide receiver 6 where this position would be. You bring in UDFA Jackson Meeks, and you're just going to have a 7th rounder and a UDFA battling that out. Tesla, and I would say, Tesla, Tim Patrick, Khalif Raymond, they're all safe. They're going to have a couple of canny guys who keep going up and down between the practice squad and Ronnie Bell and Tom Kennedy to compete with. But we're talking depth of depth when it comes to the battle here. So rather than get into that right away, I'd like to ask you, Jeremy, on how does Tesla really fit in with where they're going? And I guess the other question is, could he be seeing starter snaps over someone like Tim Patrick if he plays extremely well? He is really raw too, but yes.
Yeah, by the end of the season, maybe. I put out a question today at Pride of Detroit. It's like, hey, which round 3 or later pick is going to have the biggest impact in their rookie season? And I did not pick Teslaw, even though, he's the highest pick of that group, just because I mean, they liked Tim Patrick a heck of a lot. They re-signed him for a reason. They kept talking about how he fits exactly what we want. Yes, he's 32, 33. And so I think Teslaw is the long-term plan there, no doubt. But you mentioned it, like, he's extremely raw. He hasn't played on the outside a lot. He has to learn to deal with press coverage because he never did at the slot at Arkansas. And so I'm not sure what his role is right away. Maybe he has a sub package role when they go, they want to go 4 wide just to get him out there and get some reps out there. Maybe he's going to be purely special teams, but I don't think any significant role is going to get handed to him right away. And I mean, it all depends on how fast he develops, right? I think the story though here is like, one, all 3 of your returners are coming back. All 3 of your starters last year are coming back. You have Khalif Raymond for another year, which is another solid depth piece who can be your wide receiver 4 if Teslaw isn't ready for some of that work. Now you have a plan for the future with Teslaw, along with Amon-Ra, who's signed forever, however long that is. Plus, you're bringing back some comfortable depth with Tom Kennedy. And then, you have your other developmental plans with Dominic Lovett. Jackson Meeks, too, I think is kind of an interesting. He is kind of that big-bodied X receiver who has a little bit more experience on the outside. I'm not suggesting he's going to be at Teslaw for a starting job in the future. I don't think that's going to happen, but you have depth at the wide receiver X position for the first time in a very long time, because they hadn't even had a starter at that position until the end of training camp last year. So I think the short and long-term version of this wide receiver group looks suddenly a lot better after this draft. But if you're pretending you're going on a top 30 visit and you're already wearing your Teslaw Lions jersey, I would say maybe pump the brakes a little bit, because I'm not sure he's going to have that crazy of a 2025 season.
So wait, did you just say Jackson Meeks, future Jay Lee for Alex Reno?
Oh my God, Jay Lee, what a pull!
The Dominic Lovett stuff I think is pretty interesting from the standpoint that they clearly value him as a gunner and his ability on special teams, and maybe even long term talking about his potential to step in the return game. And I think that's something he's going to get a ton of opportunities to in the preseason. So that's something that's good. I mean, that's really how like Isaiah Williams really kind of cracked his way in, was making some plays in punt return. And then all of a sudden, then he started stacking those good days with catches, and now he's no longer on the roster. But that's the path that I see Dominic Lovett making this roster and sticking on the 53 is like, we're doing that instead of, and we'll get to it later, but like we're doing that instead of a safety, because like we're keeping you on instead of a cornerback, because the special teams ability and maybe some ability on offense at some point down the road, but he's a slot only guy. Not really going to play outside at all. And the Tesla stuff is, I think, going to be the most fascinating development outside of, trench play with the guards, but like, how ready is he going to be an X receiver? I think tells you how early he'll start getting like significant snaps on offense. Like if he can do that, I think they'd love to have his athleticism out there. Like no knock on Tim Patrick at all, but like that's just a really that's a big hill to climb. Rookie season, learning a new position and to do it well, and to take it from a guy that they clearly trust in Tim Patrick, like you would have to really be turning some heads in training camp. But Jeremy, that's what Brad Holmes talked about, how much he loved about, seeing Tesla for the first time in person, is like those traits that the Lions just absolutely love. Yep. And if he can do all that stuff, plus learn a new position, and plus, acclimate to the NFL and low production and all that stuff, like it's a lot of ifs.
Right. And plus, like, go back to 2021 when the Lions drafted Amon-Ra. It didn't take until like the middle of the season for that kid to like catch on, right?
Oh yeah.
And that was, and remember what the wide receiver depth chart looked like at that time. It was terrible.
How dare you? How dare you?
And
How dare you talk about Brashad Perryman and Tyrell Williams like that?
So like, even if you're very optimistic about Teslaw, I think it's reasonable to reel in expectations for him just this year, right? I'm saying, like, if he has a full year to learn behind Tim Patrick, and he could hit 2026, the ground running starter, be exactly what he wants. But like you said, though, he also has those traits that are going to endear him to this coaching staff, which is like gritty. I'm gonna block my ass off. I'm physical, plus all the physical like height, weight, speed, size stuff that they don't care about. But
Let's.
but yeah, I don't know. He's honestly he's got to be the most fascinating guy of training camp, right? I feel like he's the guy that everyone's going to be watching.
Well, let's talk about some real fascination. Let's talk about the offensive line because guard's a bloodbath. Guard is the
new linebacker.
We're gonna have tryouts, aggressive expansion. We've got multiple dirtbags here, Ryan. We've got multiple folks that you want to keep your eye on between Christian Mahogany, Tate Ratledge, Miles Frazier, Graham Glasgow, and yes, I'll even throw Coyote Awosika in the mix too. To say nothing of Natane Moody. I think I said that name right, Jeremy. Did I?
Natane,
excuse me. Just reading it off the page for the first time. But there not a lot at tackle. We could talk a little bit about Skipper versus Manu, but let's start with guard because I really do feel like there are both starter spots are up for grabs, and realistically, I see maybe 3 guys who could grab the starter spot, but then even then, I think like a depth spot between Glasgow, Awosika, and Frazier is completely in the cards as well.
I just really need to see who's training at center. Like, because I view that as, Graham.
That's part of this too.
I think he's pretty assured to be on the roster, right? Like, yes. I don't really see.
For the versatility, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
I don't see
nothing else.
Don't see a 2025 roster without Graham on it. But I think like a big feather in his cap is his ability to play center and his ability to play both guard spots. And I'm not going to say that he plays both those spots equally, but that versatility, veteran leadership. I mean, we saw them love Halapuli Vaitai. Like they loved Vaitai and they kept him around for probably longer than his NFL shelf life and his body allowed him to be on this roster. But I think they value that with Graham. So then it just gets really interesting. Is he a starter or is he going to be depth? Because Jeremy, I think that there's a path to having 2 guards starting who you would be surprised if you rewound the clock to like last week before the draft started and be like, oh, the Lions could be starting Christian Mahogany and Tate Ratledge, or hey, can Miles Frazier work himself into this conversation? I think it's all on the table.
Yeah. I think it's a 4-man race between Glasgow, Mahogany, Ratledge, and Frazier.
Yep.
And again, like I think it's important to point out that all 4 of those guys are going to make the team, which means you're running 4 deep at guard for the first time in a very long time. Because really, I mean, you talk about Awosika, like he was the primary backup, and nothing against Awosika. They like Awosika. They brought him back for a reason, but you're talking 3 guys who are young, potential full-time starters on the roster, which is awesome and an extreme luxury to have. You might cross-train 1 or 2 of those guys at center so that when Graham eventually is off the roster, like suddenly you have a backup there as well. And you still have, like, you could still keep Awosika if you want to play the numbers game and keep, maybe 10 or 11 instead of 9 or 10. And just have the experience out there to help those young guys. Because like there is a danger in starting a guy in his first year and a guy in his second year, right? Like it's a little dangerous, but at the same time, like the future is now. Let's get it going.
Well, you mentioned center, and let's dovetail that into some of the center talk too, because you talk about them bringing back Awosika, but like they also brought back Kingsley Egawakun. And Michael Neese is still kicking around too. Like, you'll have Glasgow able to play center and he could be stashed away on the depth chart as a center if they want to, keep him in that regard. But again, they're going to be cross-training these guys, Tate Ratledge, Frazier, and maybe Mahogany to be playing center. I don't know what if that's smart for Mahogany at this point in his development, but like, does that, I mean, you've already got established centers sitting there too, and Egawakun, who they seem to like. They've stashed him away a little bit and tried to get him seasoning, and I liked his work at Florida. So, like, I mean, depending on how, I guess, the guard position works out too, it then creates a secondary bloodbath, Jeremy, at the center position.
Yeah, it is interesting because I don't necessarily see the value in, like, one of these draft picks being like cross-training him at center. I'm not sure if it's going to come natural to any of those guys. So if one of Nice and Iguakin can turn out to be like really good as a backup, that's something that I don't think any of us have really been talking about as a possibility. But like they did it like Iguakin a lot. He hung around all last season. He was a guy that they started to train at that position a lot. Nice has been kind of the primary backup outside of Glasgow, and so there's a certain level of trust there. And so, when it comes down to keeping one of those last positions, are you going to go with a trusted veteran like Coyote Aoshika, or are you going to go with one of those developmental centers in Nice or Iguakin? And that's a conversation for down the line, but it's probably something that, when you're coming up with spot 52 and 53 on this roster, those are the guys you're going to be talking about.
Yeah. The other thing, you rewind the clock back to September 1st of 2024, you're walking into that, that first week of football with Graham and Awashika, Frank, Zeitler, and Michael Neese. Like you had 5 guys on the interior. Colby Sorsdal, I don't know, sort of counts maybe, but ends up being like a game day inactive more often than not. So this, I think, Chris, dovetails into the conversation that I'm most fascinated with is like, again, at the end of the roster, do you have room for another developmental tackle that you moved up to grab who doesn't have a real role on game day? Like, do you have a spot for that on your roster when you're keeping 4 running backs and you might keep a 6 wide receiver? And, it's a really interesting discussion.
And you're probably going to keep Dan Skipper because he's got proven experience as a swing tackle as well, too.
What's the future for Colby Sorsdal? I think is a really interesting discussion.
Yeah.
I think he has to be one of the biggest losers from the draft, to put bluntly. Like, he had his opportunity to tackle. He had his opportunity to guard. Neither of those stuck. And listen, I don't like throwing developmental prospects out after 2 years. Like that's not good business. It's probably not fair. Is it 3 years? No, it's only 2, right?
Yeah, just 2 years, 23. Yep.
But like he's in a really tough spot in terms of a numbers game. Maybe, just maybe, like you cut him and you keep him around on the practice squad, because I do think there's still developmental progress there. I also like the guy a lot. He's one of the nicest people in the locker room. But I mean, all those guys that we just ran through at the guard position, outside of maybe those 2 backup centers, like they're better than Sorsdal. And you already have your 2 starting tackles. You're not getting rid of Giovanni Manu after 1 year. And like Chris said, like I think Dan Skipper has an inside track to the roster right now too. I think there's probably a more interesting conversation about, like, can Giovanni Manu jump over Skipper this year? Maybe skip over Skipper, if you will. But I don't even know where Colby's part of the conversation right now, unless he comes out and just balls out in a way that is unexpected. And I also want to leave room for that, because we didn't see Colby at all last year.
You can leave room for that, though, because I think they've largely been trying out Sorsdal a lot at guard. And, like, I know here's the thing is, like, he played tackle in college, but it was always kind of this pressure to move him to guard because he was kind of undersized for a tackle, that he was more of a prototypical guard size in the NFL, but maybe moving him back to tackle, like, I don't know, maybe that you keep saying you want to leave that door open for it, and maybe that's the door right there. Maybe you're going back to tackle. Look,
you're not going to keep in 5 offensive tackles, though, are you?
No, I understand, but, like, I'm just saying, like, at that point, you're battling Skipper. Like, that's ultimately what it is. Because, like, I feel like you can at least be comfortable, like, if you're the Lions, if you cut Skipper, you'll probably be able to bring him back if the roster dictates at some point in the later future. But that's where Sorsdal is in this roster. He's not like Manu, who we're talking about. Can Manu eventually replace someone like Decker? Like, not this year, but in, like, a couple of years' time, which is the hope for Manu as he learns the position. But Sorsdal's not being talked about as a Decker replacement. Sorsdal, we are talking about, can he make the roster? Well, the only place he can really make the roster is fighting Dan Skipper. That's really it. That's really it in my mind.
Yeah. The timeline with Manu, though, is just really strange, right? Like, if you're going to keep him as a developmental prospect and wait for Taylor Decker's deal to run up, well, like, Manu's deal is going to run up, right? And like, I'm not saying that, like, oh, it's going to cost him a ton of money to bring him back, but, like, I mean, if he does play well, and if he does show out, and it's like, okay, well, like, how much are we paying this offensive line? Right. But I think that's the most interesting thing with the Dan Skipper talk is, like, they run enough 6 offensive lineman sets that, like, that position matters and it's valuable, and they have to have somebody that they can trust. Giovanni Giovanni didn't sniff the field at all
Right.
whatsoever. So like that
mean,
would be a big development over training camp.
right. If he took that
Dan
over,
Skipper.
right, that'd be huge. And then it'd get him on the field. And then like if you're really happy with the play he's been doing, like then you have like the do we pull
insurance
the plug on Decker a year early? Like I know that narrative has been out for years and it shouldn't have been out for the past like 3 or 4 years, but like
you want to trade Taylor Decker?
if Giovanni Manu comes out there and starts balling in the way that you thought, I mean, you took a risk on this guy. You thought all again, like very much like Tassau, like you saw all this crazy physical potential. If that turns into a Jordan Mailata situation, well then you have to have that conversation about Decker because he's costing you a heck of a lot of money. And like you said,
well, I also think that
you want to take advantage at least of a little bit of Giovanni Manu's rookie contract.
I also think that though, at some point, like Decker's going to, like, injuries remain a big question mark, and the Lions have been mostly kind of lucky with a lot of their offensive line, but like Decker's absence last year was certainly noted, Jeremy, and like when they had to roll Skipper out there, it was not ideal at all,
right,
to play him at that tackle position. So I'm saying like there's definitely going to be whoever's getting this spot behind Decker is going to be expected to play regular season snaps, and you got to be ready for that. And I'm just asking if Manu is ready for that. Not a lot of drama to talk about at tight end. Just in a one-word answer because we're up against the break. What is your comfort level 1 to 10? 10 being, I guess, the most comfy on the depth after tight end 2, Jeremy?
None. I mean,
1. Okay, 1. You play the game. Play the game. Help me out. Here. Play the game.
I want to talk more about this.
Oh, I know, but I've also got to read our righteous felon, craft jerky and meat sticks.
What are we up against? There are no rules anymore to our podcast.
Ryan, what's your comfort level?
My comfort level is I think there's room for somebody to take tight end 3 from Shane Zylstra.
From Shane Zylstra. So we've got like 2 UDFAs and Kenny Yeboah. It's like I just don't know anything to really say about a lot of these guys at this point in that thing.
I do.
So well, I know.
Take the muzzle off. Let me talk.
I would
tight
love,
end 3.
I would love to wax poetically about Caden Prescorn.
Because I wanted to talk about Zach Horton. So there we go. We got our 2 UDFAs to talk about. Let's fight.
Okay. Horton, here's a who. Tell me about it.
Can play fullback. Return to the fullback, baby.
That helps.
Return to the Mac. Full Mac.
I do think this team has kind of had like an itch to get the fullback position out there. And who knows if maybe that's something that maybe the new offensive coordinator feels a little bit more strongly about, because they did, they sent Kabinda packing a couple of years ago and never really seemed to figure out that position. But like they always seem to try someone at fullback. And I think Zach Horton has an outside chance. Like if you're asking me to pick a dark horse to make the roster, I think Zach Horton, who is also like, he graded out pretty darn well in college. Granted, I can't remember where he started, but he finished it in Indiana. He graded out pretty well as both a run blocker and a pass blocker. So like he's a blocking heavy tight end, which like if Brock Wright goes down, that's what you need, right?
Yeah. I guess depending on who you're looking for as that replacement, it feels like they feel obviously really good about Laporta and Wright and their roles. And it's like, is that third guy supposed to be like a flex guy, like somebody who can catch the ball? And if that's the case, then I think Prescorn kind of fits the bill. He's just a really interesting prospect, and like Lake Orion, went to Orchard Lake, played quarterback, wanted to play quarterback in college, and went to Fork Union Military Academy, and then played quarterback there and still wanted to keep playing football and transferred to Memphis. And then that's when he became a tight end. And then he finishes his career at Ole Miss. Like, I think it's interesting to have a tight end who has a quarterback background. Like, I think that those guys, and especially as a
more
guy
flea
who,
flickers,
who does potential, right? Special teams. Maybe he can throw the football instead of Jalen Reeves-Maven. But the thing about that is that like he doesn't have the athletic profile, but I think as a quarterback with that background, like you understand like where to be on the field and where to fit in, and I mean I think he's got enough as like a receiver, and he played a lot of inline snaps at Ole Miss in that offense. So like I think that he could endear himself. And hashtag coming home. Hashtag good story.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky and Meat Sticks, the official meat jerky of the Pride of Detroit POD cast. Fuels us, gets you ready because each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein. Each stick has 8 grams. Nobody's keeping the muzzle on you when you're having that much protein in your system. I had the greatest bridge, and you just wanted to talk about tight end 3. You really want to talk about tight end 3.
How dare us want to talk about Lions on a Lions podcast
But it was a boring
instead of
Lions.
meat.
We could be talking about Edge, which we're getting to next. But first, more about Righteous Felon, because they are locally sourced, all natural Black Angus beef. They pride themselves on superior quality, revolutionary branding, unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. And the best part, no tariffs. All this is here in the USA, baby. So go to righteousfelon.com, use the promo code POD15 at checkout, get 15% off your order. That's promo code POD15, righteousfelon.com, and get yourself some meat, because we're going to have a long off season and a lot more time talking about tight end 3 for many, 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 many weeks. But coming up next in the Pride of Detroit POD cast, it's time to talk about the defense. Edge, nose tackle. That's next. First and foremost, I would like to say bleep the Knicks, bleep the NBA, screw all y'all. What?
The whole NBA?
The whole NBA. They know what they did. If oh God, what's his name from? Sorry, Ryan, I'm really blanking out because of rum right now. Didn't get the 3-point foul call.
Hardaway?
Tim Hardaway Jr.
If Tim Hardaway Jr. if that was a New York, if he was in blue and orange, he'd be shooting those free throws right now.
Right now?
He would. Right now. They'd make them redo the game and everything.
Seems just late.
Just like half a dozen people got pranked call on draft night, but the NFL is only going after Jeff Ulbrich and his son because how dare Shadur Sanders get punked?
Find me somewhere where you can cost your bosses or your dad's new employer, you can cost his boss $250,000 and you get to keep your job.
And yourself $100 million, $100,000.
Your dad's out 100 stacks because you
fucking. I've had a lot of people trying to do conspiracy theory, and that's like, how'd they get this? How'd this kid get this? He's a grown man, and also like he's a grown man. He should know better. He's a 21-year-old who's in a frat at Ole Miss. There is no maturity in those bones, brother.
How dare you? That's
I know a lot of
Priestborn's
people.
alma mater.
I will dare, because I know what goes down in Oxford, man.
Bring it back to
People
TE3.
don't go to
All the
Ole
time
Miss.
now.
People don't go to Ole Miss for the great education.
Jesus.
Oh man.
You tell me the lie.
I don't know a damn thing about Ole Miss.
I know that
Broaden
Caden
your
Priestborn
horizons.
went to school there.
I just do.
He could probably tell you all about the Grove then.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about Piston stuff at all, right? Like TJ Lang did
No,
enough
that's
of that.
over. Wait, hold on.
You
I
bring
missed
up
this
this-
draw. Wait, TJ
That-
Lang opened his mouth again. What
that
happened?
was the reference Ryan was making when he talked about Batman in the opening, because he said that Cade Cunningham he's the Robin, he needs a Batman, which rightfully I think pissed a lot of people off, because you're suggesting that an arguably all NBA player is not a Batman.
Who was in his first playoff series and is still and was playing without 2 of the top 6 players on the team in Isaiah Stewart and Jaden Ivey.
And so, and my favorite is like, I think he's like, "You guys are acting like Robin is bad." I'm like, are you trolling at this point? Like, are you pretending that by calling him a Robin, you aren't insulting him? Because no one has ever been pleased to be called a Robin to someone's Batman. No,
Not even Chris O'Donnell. Like the thing about the whole argument that drove me nuts though was that at any point where somebody pushed back on the Batman Robin thing, he would go, "Well, I guess you're fine with this roster just being like it is." And it's like, I'm not saying who's saying that. Who's
right.
like the assumption is that if they don't get like an alpha like for Cade, that the roster is going to stay the same. I don't, whatever, dude.
I can already tell we're heading down the exact same road we headed down with the Lions this offseason, which is like, if they don't get their Myles Garrett, it's a failed offseason.
How do you not look at Cade Cunningham, who a potential face of the league for how hard he plays, and not see alpha is what I'm asking. Like, maybe he needs another piece, maybe he needs a sidekick, but like, A, you didn't have Jaden Ivey since like December. And B, like, it's Cade fucking Cunningham, man. And also the it's not like the Pistons lost just because Cade Cunningham couldn't hit a shot. They lost because you put only one man on Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, I mean, people, I don't know. I understand how NBA history repeats itself, but people were saying the same thing about Kobe Bryant after the 98 Western Conference Finals. Like, he like airballed a game-winning, game-tying shot or whatever, and it's like, can you imagine social media back then? Oh, we need to... I mean, I guess Kobe kind of did need Shaq.
Well,
but,
I mean, we did kind of like see what happened when they did load it with a roster with, you know, those two, was it Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and
who?
No, Lakers. What? Not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Who?
Shaq,
but it was Shaq, Gary Payton, Kobe, and I'm talking about the
Karl
04 team.
Malone.
Karl Malone. That's
Karl
what I was thinking.
Malone.
I don't want to talk
But I'm
about
just
Karl
saying,
Malone.
I'm
No.
just saying that roster that got ass whooped by the Pistons had like, that was like the most loaded roster in probably the history. Like, that was the big three before the big three was even dreamed up.
Yeah. The Pistons are also an incredibly unique franchise that, like, I think that their laid claim still is that they've never had an MVP
Yeah.
on a championship team.
I think Cade could be that in some point.
Maybe.
I think that's what's being missed in that Cade discussion is like, he's still incredibly young and playing at this high of a level. Like,
yeah,
you know, I really do believe like Cade Cunningham is destined for just being, like, again, I know he plays for Detroit, so it's kind of hard to say face of the league, but like, this is only like his third season.
Right.
Like, he's going to be entering his prime here.
Well, I think this was
he's
his
only 23.
Fourth season, maybe.
But he's only 23 is my point.
And he missed like an entire
whole season, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, like, this is like, you have not even begun to see like all of what Cade can do.
Right. And they took a Knicks team to the brink. Like, every single game.
Yeah. And give the Knicks at least a little bit of credit in like, their fourth quarter play is phenomenal for the Knicks. And also, by the way, again, they missed Tim Hardaway's foul.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, if that foul gets called, like, who's to say if the rest of the series plays out the way it does? You can't really say like then the Pistons would have been in place to win Game 6 and win the series. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's not, because maybe the Game 5 plays out differently.
It is an indictment that they can't win a game at home in the series. That is bad. But
sure.
That just shows you that you're young and inexperienced.
They lost their 3 home playoff games by a total of 6 points.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it's all just premature, but I wouldn't expect it from anybody else.
Right. You guys, I mean, I knew as soon as, like, I think the game was tied in Game 6, and Cade had it and missed. Maybe, was it a layup that he missed? No, he missed a shot.
Yeah, there was a left-hand layup, I think, that he missed, yeah.
And as soon as,
Big
like,
knock was just
even though it was clear there was going to be 2 possessions left in the game, like, that's it. Like, that's going to be the narrative, is Cade isn't enough. Cade isn't enough because he missed 1 shot and he missed a shot, you know.
That's not worried me about the Pistons. It was the turnovers. Like, the turnovers are just absolutely brutal.
Yeah. And I mean, Cade has an issue there too a little bit, but that's because he gets all of the attention. Like, he gets into the paint and there's 4 people around him and no one else there to bail him out.
Yeah.
No.
So
that's all of my basketball knowledge.
Please don't trade for Kevin Durant is what I'm saying.
Oh, God. Hey,
but like that is what TJ is like kind of saying though, right?
Kinda. And then there's everybody in like NBA circles that are like, please don't like push the gas pedal all the way to the
no,
floor
it's
for an aging veteran. Like we've seen
what?
this movie before.
It's not even going to be. They're going to push for something even dumber than Kevin Durant. They're going to push for because I'm seeing him do it already. No. It can get worse. They're going to push for James Harden.
No, they won't. Get out of here.
James Harden is already like burning the Clippers bridge.
Dude, James Harden has burned every bridge of every organization he's been at because...
And yet, organizations still try to make James Harden work. It failed for all those people, but maybe we can make it work. I know it won't happen for Detroit, but like, I'm not saying that the Pistons themselves will. I'm saying the TJ Langs of the world are going to push for a James Harden.
I don't know why at the end of the day, I don't know why we're taking stock in TJ Lang's opinion about basketball anyways. Like, I don't like, what's the breadth of his basketball knowledge that's any different than any high school basketball coach?
Honestly, it's about as much as mine. And I can still point at him and laugh. Like that's how bad the take is.
I know, but it's just like, the only reason the take resonates is because he's TJ Lang, former football guard.
Guard though, that's a position in basketball.
This is true. Normally they're much different sizes though.
So what a like calendar month for Detroit sports. Between that, Tigers kicking ass, Riley Green 2 ninth inning home runs, and apparently the Tigers just laid it on the Angels again. And yes, I will work some soccer in here. Detroit City getting to take on the Chicago Fire for the U.S. Open Cup. Rally around your USL championship team.
No.
Listen, nope. So I will say this. I'll
just keep watching playoff hockey, but
because I know Alex Reno. I know Alex Reno has pushed for like MLS, but I don't want a billionaire-owned MLS team in Detroit, and it won't happen. But the USL does want to create a top flight that would actually like compete against MLS, which would mean promotion relegation probably as well. Which means you won't have to worry about giving Dan Gilbert and Tom Gores billions and billions of dollars to own a soccer team in Detroit. You have your homegrown team in the Rouge.
Cool.
Nice.
I don't care. I'm sorry.
Well, try to hit me with hockey next time, and I'm just going to give you the same response.
Sure. Piss people off again. Go for it. That's your thing.
Well, I mean, I don't need to do that, especially on a day where Ryan is already in trouble for wearing the Red Wings hat after
why am I in trouble for wearing the What firebomb did I throw?
I wasn't even in chat this morning. I just know Jeremy was giving
yeah. Nice TJ Lang opinion.
TJ Lang. What other TJ Lang opinions do we have?
I am more eager to talk about Bryce Perkins than I am MLS or DCFC. Because I watched him ball out today.
Is he the quarterback of the Michigan Panthers?
He sure is.
Okay, that's cool.
We're going to have another Michigan Panthers darling here?
Yeah.
Can he come play quarterback?
UFL expert Jeremy Reisman, UFL insider Jeremy Reisman. Let's talk about the future QB2 for the Detroit Lions, currently playing for your Michigan Panthers, who are 4-2.
I wonder
in the UFL division.
I watched most of the game today because it was raining and I was extremely bored. And like I'm not saying he's necessarily a good or NFL style quarterback, but he navigated the pocket extremely well. He broke a ton of tackles, extended plays, and then found open receivers. He had an ankle tackle like on that. I think it was the play you linked. I watched it. He broke a couple ankle tackles and just got that ball out with authority. There was a stiff arm that he laid into, I think, a corner who was trying to sack him. That was awesome. I wonder if I want to like show a whole compilation, although I know that'll get us demonetized on
for showing UFL
YouTube.
Highlights.
It will.
Go hit up the Michigan Panthers. Tell them to authorize us to do it. They will let us do it. Anything to promote the UFL.
There is a 2-minute highlight reel on the Michigan Panthers Twitter page if you want to go see it. I'm not going to show it because I don't want to have to go through the process of like cutting out a portion of the show so that we can have it monetized on YouTube. And I know Miko was already wrestling with YouTube with one of their videos being demonetized, so I'm going to try to play it nice with YouTube for now, but anyways,
man, the play action he runs too. That is beyond convincing on the handoff.
Yeah, well, because they also run option, and so like he'll run an option with a running back, and then he'll pretend like he's running, and then he'll just like go into a throwing stance and find a guy wide open.
Yeah. And he's elusive in the pocket too. Like just
I don't like the problem is if we're talking NFL quarterback, like he's going to have to be able to be a good pocket quarterback, and I don't know if he has that in him. Like I've literally just watched one game this season, and he was on the run a lot. So, but you fall in love with some of those traits, right? Like you watch these other teams have quarterbacks who can be a pocket quarterback and do all that fun stuff, and the Lions haven't had a guy like that ever
since Teddy Bridgewater.
And you fall in love with him.
His touchdowns per snaps in the NFL playoffs, unmatched.
I still really should get a Michigan Panthers jersey while they're still around. That is a good color combo.
It is a good color combo. I'm not sure if it's
wine with old gold and blue is just there's something about it just works.
They need to align their clothing prices with their ratings a little more.
You just want a $20 jersey, $50 jersey.
I don't want a $70 hoodie. That's what I want. Like I would love a Michigan Panthers hoodie, but I do not want to spend $60, $70 for it.
I have like an old throwback USFL shirt someone had printed back in the 90s, and like that only cost me like $20 on eBay.
See, now we're talking. Maybe I just need to do more shopping on eBay. People are calling me poor and cheap on the internet because I cut
$125 for the for an Under Armour jersey. No thank you. No thank you. Sideline hats at $40. I know they're new era, but come the fuck on.
That's what I'm talking about. Like I want the UFL to exist. I want to support it. I think it's good that it exists. I'm not claiming it's extremely fun football to watch or attend or whatever. But like if you drop some of that stuff by like $15 even, I'd be like, okay, like
haggle with us here.
Yeah.
Or haggle with us here. Come on.
Then I'm cheap. That's fine.
I will buy, you know what? They do have a lanyard for $12. You throw in free shipping, I'll take that.
What is the point of a lanyard?
I have a door badge here for Fox Sports Radio, so I have this. I got this at Big Ten Media Days, and I've kept this. I'm only using the Big Ten one because I lost my Mac Media Day one.
Oh.
I'm very sad about that one. But
right.
door badges.
I think the point of the lanyard is to not lose the thing that's attached to the lanyard.
I know, but I lost the lanyard itself. So, what do you want me to do?
You're going to need a bigger rope.
You need a lanyard.
I'm going to need a lanyard attached to that lanyard.
Yes.
Is what.
Potentially a lasso.
It's lanyards all the way down.
Yeah.
Did you emphasize the O in lasso? I guess I kind of do too.
So.
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso. You and Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Yeah, as Jake Book says, enough Mike McMahon slander. The man who actually brought the state of Michigan a football title.
What title was that?
Mike McMahon?
Original USFL.
That was Mike McMahon? I don't think that was Mike McMahon.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Mike McMahon was the former Lions backup who was mobile.
I thought maybe you were talking about the preseason ship award with the Browns. Like maybe Mike McMahon won that game.
Oh, the Edmund Fitzgerald?
The Edmund Fitzgerald trophy.
Who was the quarterback in the 80s?
Jim McMahon?
Bobby Hebert. That's who I was thinking. No. Yeah, Bobby Hebert.
Who?
Close to Mike McMahon.
Bobby Herbert? Or is it Hebert? Moldy said
It is.
Herbert.
There is no R in that name, so I'm pretty sure it's Hebert.
Well, it has an R in it. Hebert.
Bobby Hebert of Northwestern State, Louisiana.
I'm just gonna say it. Jim McMahon was drafted by the San Diego Spirit in the 1981 draft, and then he was drafted by the Bears in the 82 draft. Before he could play in the USFL, though.
Do you ever think about how wild that was? Original USFL throwing around the money they did, and like drawing away because they Ryan, they drew away like that when the USFL. I love the first off for anyone out there if you haven't seen the 30 for 30 documentary on it, it's great. But like they had the money to throw around to get like Doug Flutie, Herschel Walker, Steve Young. Like they just straight their first year outbid the NFL on like every last like rookie they wanted from college. And I think part of that too was like back then too, you also had to have like you couldn't come out. I think the NFL, like I think a couple of those guys weren't even eligible to come out of college for the NFL yet because it was still like I think 4 years, 3 years, whatever it was. But like it was like the USFL just kind of ducked around that and got a lot of those guys in.
Yeah,
but also throwing around a ton of money for it.
The old heads in our YouTube chat are very angry at us right now because
Ebert?
it's Air Bear.
Air Bear. See, I should have thought about that as soon as I saw Louisiana.
Now someone says, "Hey Bear."
French bullshit. A bear. A bear.
Hey Bear. Hey Bear.
Hey Bear. Hey
Sorry,
bear.
we're all under 40.
He was a hairy bear.
That for one more year.
He was a scary bear.
All right. I got to get to some alerts.
Great.
Let me get to some alerts here.
Really? We have alerts. Do tell.
We do. Eric Pomeroy, thank you for the follow over here on Twitch. Mrs. Rovi, I don't know if you're still here, but thank you for the 51 months subscribed to the channel, and congrats on a was it a half marathon, whatever you ran today. I saw it after you had ran it, but congrats on it. Hopefully it wasn't too rainy there because it was rainy all day here. Texas Wolverine 35 months says 35 months and my first month since retiring. Hey, congrats Texas Wolverine. Maybe one day soon I'll be back in Michigan and see your next live broadcast in person. That'd be fun.
They're gonna let us do that again?
I don't know. Robo, thank you for the 41 months, says let's go Detroit 12-5 season. Here we go. Ooh. I mean, I'd be totally fine with the 12-5 season, but I think some people would look at that and be like, you're not optimistic about next year? 12-5's fine.
12 like if the Lions go 12-5?
Yeah.
I'd be ecstatic.
Ecstatic.
At 12-5?
Yeah.
I'd be thrilled if they win 11-6.
It's 3 more losses than this year. Chat, in one word, what would your reaction to a Detroit Lions 12-5 season be? I'm kind of curious what the answers are because I feel like there might be some mild disappointment there.
Anything
mild. I don't know if I can say it.
Well, I have a word to describe anybody who poo-poos on 12-5. More spoiled than
Lang?
Ulbricht's son.
So yeah, we've seen like fine, satisfied, meh,
nut,
playoffs. I don't think anyone said nut.
I said nut. That's what I was saying.
Great. Can my word be playoff outcome? No. That's cheating. Thumbs up is also cheating, Brennan. The question is, what would your your one-word reaction be to a 12-5 Detroit Lions season this year? While you guys continue to answer, I'm going to read off more alerts here. Katie from Michigan, 50 months, says, hey, y'all, missed you while you was gone. Glad to be back. Welcome back. Appreciate you coming on back. Roar the Lions UK, 31 months subscribed, says, LFG, Brad had a Lions draft outside of just good or bad. Now the trenches have very good depth across the board. A roster built for January. No arguments there. Graham Branton, thank you for the sub over on YouTube. Obi Sandwich Maker, 11 months on Twitch, says LMAO. I love you guys. Thanks, buddy. And Matt Sick, thank you for the 30 months subscribed on Twitch. And that's it. We're caught up.
Hell yeah.
Whelmed. Satisfied, cool, very happy. Cool.
Hey, man, anytime we get to double digits, I'll be happy.
Yeah. 10-7 would be a little iffy. Like, there's a shot you don't make the playoffs at 10-7.
Sure.
I mean,
I don't know. I'm
What if I put the qualifier 12-5 and didn't win the division?
Here's the thing. Like, I think every team in the NFC North has a pretty tough schedule, and the Lions.
Sure.
That one's going to be rough, even depending on how we see where, like, just by the draw of teams and home away, it's going to be a rough one. They're built for this though. But I think also, like, you look at the rest of the NFC North, like, I mean, I don't know. The Vikings have to roll out a quarterback who didn't play last year and
didn't even get to practice
looked
for most
good
of it, right?
in the preseason. Like, we're
they?
basing all of JJ McCarthy off of a preseason.
Has Aaron Rodgers signed anywhere yet?
Stop it.
Well, he won't be with Minnesota.
According to NFL Rums, which is always the most, reliable source, he's got a handshake agreement with the Steelers.
What does Slick Rick say about this?
That's a good point.
Let's go to the real sources.
Ricky.
I mean, if we're talking about the Lions season, if my opinion basically is, if they make the playoffs, great. Like, that is my only regular season goal. I don't care about the 1 seed. I don't really care about winning the division that much. Like, for me personally, it's great because home games mean I don't have to pay for travel and all that sort of stuff. But I think we've gotten to a point in this franchise where regular season doesn't matter anymore. It's all about how far you get in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of a crazy thing to say, but that's where we're at. Like, that's how the bar has been raised, where I guess I'm kind of with you, with a lot of people in the chat and you, Ryan, where it's just like 12-5 is fine. That means you're making the playoffs.
12-5 gets you to the dance.
Yeah.
Gets you to the dance.
I think we learned last year, like, the 1 seed doesn't necessarily mean all that much necessarily. And so, yeah, like, you anything now short of, like, NFC Championship game from here until the near future is a disappointment. And sometimes that's going to be a disappointment too.
So please don't be bad, Jared Goff, is basically what this all falls upon.
There are 22 starters out there. You can put it all on his shoulders.
I mean, there was a lot of the Commanders game that was on his shoulders, yes.
There's a lot going wrong in that game.
There was a lot, but a lot of that also was on Jared Goff.
Are we really relitigating the playoff game right now?
What else do you want me to do? It's May. It's May, and the chat has requested we stop talking about the Pistons.
I don't think moving to the Lions' most disappointing playoff performance.
It's not really much of improvement, is it?
No, I don't think so.
It's really not. But at the same time, what else are we going to talk about May other than, is Jared Goff the quarterback to take the Lions to the mountaintop?
No, we are not. We are not that podcast.
We are in the cycles that we could be in the cycles of Goff, Jeremy, and, like, you wouldn't even know it.
All I know is there's some Bears fans out there. Shout out to Morgan. I don't know if he's watching or whatever, if he ever watches these, but, like, shout out to Morgan and, like, his undying effort to just dunk on delusional Bears fans on Twitter. I don't have the patience for it.
This is their time of year to be delusional, man. This is like clockwork.
But they're, they were doing like a whose offense is better, the Lions or the Bears, this Bear fan was, and he does that thing where he lists every position in which team is better, and he gave the Bears the edge at quarterback, and I'm just like, how can you? What are the mental gymnastics you get to the point where you're convinced right now, as of 2025, Caleb Williams is a better quarterback than Jared Goff? Like, how do you get there?
Well, Jeremy, he finally has weapons because as a rookie quarterback, I'm sure as you know, he walked into the best possible situation a rookie quarterback has ever been in, and he proceeded to not look as good as Jaden Daniels.
But you know what?
We
forgot about that part. Look at all the money they spent on the
Yes.
offensive line. How often does a free agent offensive line work out? It doesn't matter. Now look at all the weapons they've given him, Ryan. Everything's set up. It's the best possible situation for him.
Yep.
For a sophomore quarterback.
Better than Jared Goff. Check.
Well, here's the thing. Jared Goff is just a system quarterback. Like the only reason he's good is because they have so many weapons around him. Now, if Caleb Williams is good this year,
is Jared Goff a Robin and needs a Batman?
Stop. So, by a lot of Bears fans' logic, Jared Goff is only good because he has such a good offensive line and so good of weapons around him. That's the only reason he's good. Now, Caleb Williams, he couldn't be good last year because he didn't have a good offensive line and good weapons around him. Now, if he's good this year, that's because Caleb Williams is good.
Well, because he took the sophomore lead.
That's right. That's right. See what I'm trying to get here, though? Like,
but you got to think about it this way.
If your quarterback sucks, it's because the pieces around him aren't good enough. But if an opponent, if your rival's quarterback is good, it's only because of the pieces around him.
But what does this really? Hold on a second. But what's this all really mean for Jordan Love taking the next step and proving once again that he can just, Toyota-thon and he can just be a winner guy up in Green Bay? That the Packers are so miraculously lucked into the third great Hall of Fame quarterback in a row. What's it mean for that? What's it mean for J.J. McCarthy, who went to Michigan? You know who else went to Michigan, Jeremy? Who else went to Michigan? That's right, Tom Brady.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, who's the guy that was with the Lions for a little bit? It's got an extra letter in one of his names. It's like a 7th round pick or UDFA. Nobody?
Who?
No.
I keep thinking it's Jake Fromm. It's something like that. Rudock. Jake Rudock.
Jake
Thank
Rudock.
You.
Oh, yeah, the D. Yeah. Yeah.
I memory hold Rudock. Thank you for bringing that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Jared Goff, unquestionably the best quarterback in the division. I hear no objections.
How many Goff versus Goof games are we getting? What's the ratio there?
How many have you been getting?
A couple.
That's not a ratio.
7-1, 8-1.
Captain James Kirk, is Malik Willis still in the division?
That's a great question. He is. So,
is Malik Willis better than Shadur Sanders?
Yes. Unquestionably.
I want to ask you. I want to ask you this, Ryan, because I know you're a betting guy. Because I think my new thing on one of the shows that I have been producing on Fox Sports Radio, my role is coming up with weird and/or extreme over/unders for the hot takes these guys are throwing around. So this one came up today because I really think, looking at the Browns, there's a possibility like you're going to have to roll with Joe Flacco, and I guess it's going to be a battle between Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shadur Sanders. So might not even make the roster. And I guess the question is, over under a half a snap in the regular season in his career for Shadur Sanders.
In his career? Oh, God. Over, right? I don't know. A half?
Over under a half a snap in this upcoming season for Shadur Sanders.
We're having all this talk while Malik Willis is stuck behind a fraud like Jordan Love.
Cleveland goes through quarterbacks like toilet paper. He's probably going to start a game this year. Spot the lie.
Well, not if someone fakes being the head coach to him and calls him up.
You love that storyline, huh?
Tells him he's been traded to, I'll tell him he's been traded to the Oakland Raiders.
I'm going to look at all.
Do they move?
Yes. You still go to Oakland. Go to Oakland, man.
So last year, 4 different quarterbacks started for the Browns. Can you name them?
I can. Deshaun Watson,
Mm-hmm.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson,
Mm-hmm.
DTR, man.
Jameis Winston,
Mm-hmm.
Now this is where it
and
gets gritty.
I would never have guessed this one. I did not know this is where that player was.
Was this? Hold on. Don't say anything.
Don't
Let
look
me
at your
think.
computer. Look me in the
I'm
eyes.
not.
You're
I'm not.
looking to the right.
I know. I was looking at our chat, and now I'm like trying to.
No one in
Kenny
chat has
Pickett?
it yet. Nope.
no. Kenny Pickett won a Super Bowl.
Well, that's right. Wait. It wasn't Carson Wentz, was it?
Nope. We already have DTR. Jameis Winston, Deshaun Watson, DTR, and one of my least favorite quarterbacks for what he did to the Lions.
Oh my God.
That's my hint.
What he did to the Lions?
What he did to the Lions during the Dan Campbell era in one of my least favorite games of all time. That should be a good enough hint.
It wasn't Mason Rudolph, was it?
Nope. But that is a great. That's
Yeah.
a great.
Because that's what I think. That's what I think is that fucking Steelers game. What other embarrassing game do we have, Ryan? Where the Lions...
no. Bailey Zappi did not start for them.
That is correct.
That's right. That's right.
Bailey
He did start for them.
Zappi. So, when you look at those four names, yes, Shedeur Sanders is going to start a game for the Cleveland Browns, because I could probably go back
Not
to
if
the
Dylan
previous
Gabriel
year,
beats him out.
and 5 quarterbacks started for the Browns in 2023. Can you name those?
In 2023?
In 2023.
So, okay, 2023,
Deshaun
Joe
Watson.
Flacco.
Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
That's correct.
Again.
Good luck on these last two. I think I'm making my point, by the way.
Yeah, no, you are.
No. I want to try to get this. I like this game. Guess the Browns quarterback.
Guess
On the
Browns
extremely
quarterback.
long list of Browns quarterbacks through the ages.
One is a former Detroit Lions quarterback.
Hold on. I was just about to say it. Jeff Driscoll.
That's correct.
Okay, I'm not completely off. I
believe the other had a little bit of a USFL career. Let me make sure that's right.
Oh, no, I know. And I don't think it's USFL. It'd be XFL. And I've completely forgotten his name.
It was the XFL.
PJ. I blanked on the last name.
Can you finish it, Ryan?
No.
PJ
Walker?
Walker. Only 3 in 2022, so they had a really good season. Actually, only 2, I should say, because I thought it was Amari Cooper threw a pass.
But that is an A+ draft grade according to The Athletic. The first team ever in the modern draft to take 2 running backs and 2 quarterbacks. A+.
Oh man, that is some.
Karen, do not doubt my ability to remember insane, weird stuff like that. Just not the right stuff.
The last time they had only one starting quarterback for an entire season was probably the best quarterback who has run through that program in the
Baker
past 10
Mayfield?
years. Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that one's easy. Not mature enough. They needed a adult in the room.
2 straight seasons of playing every single game, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Imagine where they could be. Imagine where they could be right now, Jeremy.
Sometimes it helps to have a Cleveland Browns in your favorite team's league to remind yourself that it actually can get worse.
I wasn't even thinking of the Cleveland Browns when I think how it can get worse. It could be even worse than the Browns. It could be the Tennessee Titans and just utterly fucking forgettable.
Yeah. I mean, that's if you live by who's the radio that's like, give me an A or give me an F. I don't want anything in between. He's
Mad
the guy
Dog?
that has the clones. Me and my clones. That guy.
Rome, Jim Rome.
Yeah, Jim Rome.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Browns are an F, so they're notable because they're an F. The Titans are like a C minus.
Titans are a solid C minus. Yeah. I mean, could be the Dolphins at this point too.
What do I think about the Dolphins?
I know this about the Dolphins. I work with too many Dolphins fans, and the delusion is so fucking real. And yet, every time I look at the Dolphins, I'm like, you're blowing this team up again. There's no hope for you. And Tua Tagovailoa is going to take another hit where we all sit around and reevaluate our commitment to the sport. And then he's going to talk about how he still wants to play and get his brains completely scrambled again and again and again.
It's interesting because, like, as soon as the Patriots wall came down, it did look like maybe the Dolphins were going to finally be next in line because, like, that offense scored 80 points that one time, right?
They will never be next in line. Never.
And the Bills were like, sit down.
Bet.
This is the adults are talking.
The Cardinals, though, Matt, are again, like the Titans, a solid C minus. I'd give them a C.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, they're pretty forgettable. Explosions. That's all I think about when I think of the Cardinals.
Gannon.
Yeah.
I think about how I just think about Kyler Murray's battle pass level.
In what game? Was it Call of Duty?
Yes.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. It was Call of Duty, but maybe he'll be locked in. Maybe with GTA 6 delayed until 2026, he'll be really locked in this year. The Jets are an F, and they are interesting in that way, KD. The Panthers,
they're definitely a forgettable team. They're right there with the Titans.
Kinda, but at the same time, when they start to make some noise, it gets kind of fun sometimes.
Can you name
I think
a Panthers player right now other than Bryce Young? Because I'm having
Thielen.
a little bit. Is he still there?
For now.
I don't know. Is he?
Yes.
He is.
But unlike the Titans, they've at least drafted some younger wide receiver. Oh, I mean, what about Tet McMillan? I can't say his full name.
That doesn't count. He's a rookie.
Teataro McMillan.
I pronounce it Tyroa, but I have no idea if that's how it's actually
that's one of those
pronounced.
words I've never heard said out loud.
I'm same. That's how it's pronounced, or that's how it's spelled. Oh yeah,
Xavier Legette's a good pull.
I'll always remember as the guy who dropped the pass that could have beaten the Eagles.
Xavier Legette.
Yeah. That made me so sad.
You guys aren't excited about Jonathan Brooks in year 2?
I don't know who that is.
It's a running back that they took last year.
Sounds like a mistake.
I think that could be a real interesting sleeper team to win the NFC South this year.
I think the entire NFC South falls under
Sleeper team?
the C minus created teams where I'm just like, I don't care about any of these teams.
I would say the Saints are a solid F.
Yeah, maybe. But they're always the one like in those games where you're playing.
No. I'm sorry. Hold on. No, the Saints are like a D. The Falcons are an F.
No, the Falcons are not relevant enough to be an F.
No, come on.
They were relevant enough for one Super Bowl, and that's it.
But dude, everyone gets talking about how much money they've spent on Kirk.
Yeah,
It's just they're trying to get rid of it already. And even still, this last draft, they still managed to fucking like fall on their ass. Trading a first rounder to go up for
Pierce,
not even a quarterback.
It's an edge. I don't know. To me, honestly, I know everyone loves it.
They took 26 overall,
but I think trading up all the way to 2 to get what's his name, the corner wide receiver, Travis Hunter. I think that's a crazy move. That's a
So you're not
crazy
alone.
ass
You're
move.
not alone. No, I know Colin Cowherd railed against that, although he also said that like he's not even sure the Jaguars GM even knew their roster before he made the trade, which is like kind of ridiculous to say, but whatever.
Is that just because everyone on the roster is older than he is?
I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot going on with the Jaguars coaching staff and front office of like how people treated Dan Campbell just because he had the weird
Sure.
Duval
Well, to me,
and all this.
it's
And
just
like
that
I
the
guess
GM is younger than me, and that makes me mad. That's the only reason.
the GM stumbled on a couple of words, thus it must mean he's incompetent.
No, it's just he's a baby. I don't like it. But listen, they made up for it by housing the Lions, and they're in the Lions' aggressive trade up in the 3rd round. So I just said that one to make people mad.
I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie.
I still like the Walker thing, although to be honest, like I don't know. I mean the Hunter trade because like honestly though, like they gotta do something with Lawrence. Like this is the year you give him a crazy weapon like that, because otherwise, like, what are you gonna do with Lawrence?
I don't know. Part of it is just like I'm still convinced the best route with Travis Hunter is full-time cornerback, sub-package wide receiver. And if they try anything else, I think they're playing with fire. Full-time offense and defense is madness. Don't do that. You are going to ruin that kid's career before it starts.
I even think the notion on the broadcast where it was like plays wide receiver for you, plays the final 4 minutes of the halves on defense at cornerback if you need them. And I'm like, dude, that's so much like study like throughout the week. Like you need to be in like the defensive back room meeting and like you need to be in there with the defense. And it's like I don't know, it's too much.
What do you
But
do
you gotta
on a
think he's
rookie
already
season?
been doing that though. He's already been doing that throughout college. So I mean,
But he's going to have to
but
learn
this is
an
the
entirely
NFL.
new rule. It's playbook. Like that'll learning your playbook is one of like the most like mentally taxing things that these kids have to do in their first year, and doing it on both sides of the ball is, I don't know, it's asking for trouble. Give him 10 plays to learn on offense.
Trevor Lawrence is done. Ryan, do you think Trevor Lawrence, the book is written on Trevor Lawrence now?
We're getting close to figuring out if I don't know, does Trevor Lawrence like love playing football? I don't know.
I don't know
I mean,
his personality at all.
I think that's something. Like I don't ever see much from Trevor Lawrence. And like I think we can be done with all of the like, oh, he needs help. It's like they've gotten
that's
an
what I'm
awful lot of
saying.
help.
That's what I'm saying. This year was we get the help. We get the final piece for Trevor Lawrence. Like if he can't make it work throwing to Travis Hunter or something, then like I don't know what you do, buddy. I really don't know what you do.
Hendon Hooker for Trevor Lawrence.
For a QB, for an established QB2.
Oh yeah. 2 more alerts, and then I think maybe we should get back into it.
Yeah.
Alien Vivitor, 50-month subscriber to the channel, says, what game, home or away, are you most excited about? Ben Johnson versus Lions storylines, Vikings rookie quarterback storylines. I haven't looked at their schedule or opponents in a while, and I thought I had it on my phone, and I don't. I don't know. Who got the I think we have the AFC North this year. So Browns, Bengals, Ravens, Steelers. I don't know what division we have inside the NFC this year.
Browns, Bengals, Ravens.
Is it the
Steelers.
East?
I don't know.
I could see us clearing that entire division. Maybe 3-1. 3-1 against that division.
Okay. I can take that.
Yeah, it's
I
the
I
NFC
could see them-
East.
Let's get revenge on the Commanders. How about that?
Let's get revenge on Knicks fans.
I know Morgan.
By
doesn't.
beating the
Morgan
Cowboys?
wants
Morgan wants the Giants
By
so
beating
bad.
the Cowboys, you mean?
Sure. Or the New York Giants.
Let's get back at the Knicks by the Pistons beating the Lakers.
Did you have any thoughts when you started to see Ryan Abdul Carter wanting
Lawrence Taylor's number?
Lawrence Taylor's number? Do you have any thoughts in your head other than F off? And he wanted like Phil Simms' number as well, I think.
Oh. I don't know. As long as he's not picking a single digit. I think single digits on
wanted
edge
11.
rushers look so bad.
He wanted 11. That's Phil Simms' number. Like,
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. You can ask for Phil Simms' number. You can ask for Lawrence Taylor's number too if you want. But like you're putting an awful lot on yourself before you step on an NFL football field.
Yeah. I know we yelled at me about the soccer thing, but that's a very soccer thing to go up to the old heads and be like, hey, I would like this number. Because they don't retire numbers there. They just have them reserved. And like, if you take a certain number as great and get the nod from veterans, great expectations are heaped upon you. It's just, I don't know. They're retired. The numbers are retired for a reason.
I think retiring numbers is one of the dumbest practices by sports organizations.
You know what? I kind of agree with you. I kind of agree with you.
100%.
Because like, I was going to say, does Michigan have numbers retired? Because I know Notre Dame doesn't have any numbers retired. USC only retires the numbers of their like Heisman winners.
I have no idea.
But in general, like, I know, like, going to another sport, like, we were talking about this the other day. It's kind of wild, Ryan, that we have more than 1 to 15 for basketball. But we just have so many numbers now. And that, like, you look at a team like the Yankees where it's kind of like hard for guys to actually get a number because they've retired so many.
I think we need to start incorporating the vending machine rule where you can just start putting in letters.
2AA.
That's right. You're not going to run out that way.
False start number B7.
Oh, I guarantee.
Sound like bingo out there.
I guarantee that Tate Ratledge would want to be number 2A.
Wow.
It's perfect.
No, that's funny. But what's also funny, sports organizations are just so bad at it. Like the Miami Heat have Michael Jordan's number retired.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. But so like the Red Wings, like they don't have Konstantinov's number retired, but nobody wears 16. It's like, okay, then why aren't we putting it in? So like that number is just off limits.
Well, nobody does it. It's never done consistently either. Like every organization is different.
Who should legislate that? Nobody. It's stupid. It's dumb.
Yeah.
Like just have a Ring of Honor. That's fine. Yeah. Don't say jersey numbers are off limits. They're numbers.
You don't know.
Well, like I get the origin of like, was it Lou Gehrig who like he was like the first number ever retired in a sport just because of like how it all went down with with ALS and like everything on like the tearful goodbye of Lou Gehrig, and it was just kind of agreed upon nobody in the Yankees were ever going to wear Lou Gehrig's number again. And then before you know it, there's like 30 numbers retired by the Yankees. Yeah. And every team just does it differently.
Maybe you have to
like Notre Dame's been playing football for ages and they haven't retired a single goddamn number.
That's what I mean. We're gonna run out of numbers. So I guess vending machine idea it is. I'll take the Twix in C7.
Yeah. Whatever.
That's absolutely a quarters number.
Is the most common code for a Snickers bar. That's my sports number.
This is not devolving into vending machine talk, which is, I don't think anywhere we've ever been before when it comes to food.
It's true, and I kind of want to talk about it. Like,
I kind of do too.
What's with that row that's just like the mints and lifesavers?
Can I tell you about
Jerry
the thing that
Seinfeld
pisses me?
Bit.
I want to.
The deal
I've ranted about this on Fox Sports Radio, and I feel like this is something I should bring into the Pride of Detroit realm. The people who stock our vending machine does the most infuriating thing with Sun Chips. They are all on one row, and they alternate flavors of Sun Chips between
That's pretty wild.
Harvest Cheddar, Garden Salsa, and Original.
Yeah, and so when you get to original, no one's buying the Sun Chips, and suddenly all of them are
Yeah.
original.
If I see Harvest Cheddar up there, I'm grabbing that shit and
You
running.
better. You gotta
Yeah.
book it to the vending machine.
But that is I think it's been stuck on Garden Salsa for like three months now.
Garden salsa is delicious.
Not for me.
It's way better than original.
It's Harvest Cheddar or go bleep yourself.
Do you remember having to learn the hard way about vending machines and getting pops out of them? I feel like everybody
Getting
was
showered.
initiated. Yeah.
Yeah. But now they
Our
have
vending
like
machine-
the system where it's got like the robot arm, and it's like it gently places it down.
I don't know how they
Taking our
stopped it,
jobs.
what brand it was.
Taking our
Our vending
jobs.
machine at my high school had this like fried chicken sandwich in it that once you stuck it in the microwave and reheated it and put some like it was disgusting, but for like 16-year-old me, that was the best shit on earth.
Dude, I don't know if I can buy anything like refrigerated sandwich wise from a vending machine. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't
I think
refrigerated.
Like those rotating ones where like you reach in there. No.
I know.
Oh, there was a gymnasium in Toledo that had the old style of vending machine where you don't even see what's inside. It's just a row of drinks at the top. Like there's like a small row of drinks that shows you the selection, and then it's like, just a big box.
Yeah, I remember those.
We
I think
We
my
have-
grandfather used to have a cigarette vending machine in the back of his restaurant too.
unsurprisingly, Madi Tukadi comes in with a list cast involving
Top 5 vending machine
top 5
foods.
vending machine foods. It's very
Number
easy for
one,
me.
number one, easy Coca-Cola.
It's not a. Are we? Is a drink a food?
Oh, don't open this up now.
I don't think drink is food.
I don't think a drink is a food. But if they're
Okay,
vending
okay, then
machine
we'll just do
items,
food. We'll just do food then. Okay.
well, I gotta put together my list.
Okay.
Hmm.
Are we doing 5 or 3?
Oh, no, I've got. See, I want to say my number one, but I know I'll think of something later and get annoyed by it.
Also, what are we
Well,
pulling from? Because you could stick anything in a vending machine,
It's a
right?
standard vending machine.
A standard vending
You can't be like, oh, one of those pizzas that they make. Like, no.
Foods only, says Marty. Okay.
Egg salad sandwich.
I think I have my 3.
We
You
can
want
do
to do
3?
3? I have my 3.
I can do 3 pretty easily as well.
Yeah.
Number 3, the Lance cheesy peanut butter crackers.
Good
Okay,
answer. It's a good answer.
that's fair.
Number 2, Sun Chips Harvest Cheddar.
Okay.
All right.
Number 1, Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
I am not a Flaming Hot Cheetos fan. I don't know if that's sacrilege, but I'm just not.
Every high schooler just
Or actually, wait,
Sneered
hold on,
at
hold on.
you.
We
I'm
just
sorry, I'm
lost
sorry.
all of our.
Let me
under-
revise this. I'm knocking off the Lance crackers and I'm moving to the top. Number 1, Gardados.
marking that off my Chris bingo card for the show.
What, you've never had Garditos,
Replace as a
Jeremy?
list cast item.
I'm not sure what they are.
They're like it's
sounds
a
familiar. Okay,
trail
I know
mix
what it is.
bag of like
Yeah.
it's like mini breadsticks, pretzels, and rye chips. They're really good.
I'm aware
Like get a
of
full
those.
bag if you can. I think they make a bag just with the rye chips, and the rye chips are good, but they're the mini breadsticks are my favorite. The only thing I don't like in them is they have these like little sesame sticks in there, and those I can like hit and miss with. But everything else in a Garditos bag is top shit.
You or me, Ryan?
Yeah, I'll go. All right, number 3 is going to be my slot for all reliable peanut M&Ms.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Peanut M&Ms are solid.
they're great.
Yeah. 2, I would say like, and this is why I asked the question about like, so what are we assuming that's in the vending machine? But like, if there are like kettle cooked chips. Like I'm gonna go kettle cooked chips.
There you go. Maybe
All
Miss
out.
Vicky's.
Like Miss Vicky's, and I would love to do like either the jalapeno or the salt and vinegar.
The jalapeno ones are top notch.
Yeah. And then number one, trail mix. I
Okay.
love trail mix. Like I don't know why, but I had a
you-
bag of trail mix the other day, and I was just like so tickled pink with like this has everything in it. There's peanuts, there's raisins, there's
We could-
M&Ms.
We could go down a wormhole of listcast now of best trail mix snacks.
Yeah.
Is
Cars,
there a-
cars,
is-
cars trail mix.
Okay, I was gonna say, is there a brand you're loyal to?
I'll just say them because they're a popular one. But yeah, my honorable mention though is a Take 5 bar.
Ooh, okay.
I feel like I'm more of like a candy guy out of a vending machine than I am like chips. I
I
think.
usually am too. Which is why Snickers is my number one, because to me it's just, if I want a snack on anything, there's nothing better than the Snickers. My number two, I'll be honest, I almost never get this out of a vending machine because it's always in the expensive tier. And when I was a kid, it was like I had $1, and these were always $1.25.
Ooh,
Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
Just like
Now we're
What
starting to get
kind?
into the chicken sandwich tiers, though.
brown
Monty
cinnamon.
Too Hottie brings up combos, and like now I'm thinking of like snack foods I haven't seen in forever, like combos and bugles.
Both of those are trash. That's my hot take.
Fuck
I
you.
hate combos.
How about
I
I
hate
think of it? How about
bugles.
you think about that? I'll fight you right now.
when's the last time you
combos
had
is like
combos?
the most disgusting cheese I've ever tasted in my life. It
Yeah, that's
tastes
why
like
it's good.
vomit. No.
No, okay. So, have any of you seen? Let me ask this because this would redo my list. I have never seen a vending machine with Dots pretzels in it, but that is like easily my favorite like snack food.
Yeah,
is
Dots pretzels
Dots.
are great.
Yeah.
They're fantastic. I just don't think I've seen them in a. I'm surprised I've never seen As I'm thinking about it, I've never seen Dots pretzels in a vending machine.
My my number 3 is a snack mix that is drastically underrated because it combines Cheetos, Doritos, Rolled Gold pretzels,
I know what you're talking
and Sun
about.
Chips.
I've
Munchies.
had this.
The Munchies,
The Munchies.
Mix is an elite snack mix, and if you haven't seen it,
Have
I'm
you had
going to
the
show a picture of it.
One of the whole reason I said flaming hot is there's a flaming hot Munchies mix in our vending machine one time, and I went nuts for it. All of that shit was coated in flaming hot.
Oh man, see, that's the thing that I don't like about Munchies though, is that it's like they're all intermingling in a way that like with trail mix it's okay. Like I feel like some of the flavor bleeds over to the other stuff that like I don't want cheese like on my like pretzels that are in there.
That's why you
I
get
do.
the flaming hot Munchies. That's why you
If-
get the flaming hot Munchies.
I don't care. Get Cheeto dust in there. Get Harvest Cheddar dust on there. It's all like, it's great. Just don't get Combos dust on it, or Combos, whatever that is.
Is this why you hate Travis Hunter? Because he's both two different He's
Yeah,
both the
I just
cheese
don't
and
like-
cracker of of cornerback and wide receiver. He's the
That's right.
combos of the NFL.
That's right.
Segment 2.
There is no shot you like Combos. I can't.
I like some trash, dude.
you
do
would
not understand.
you'd spend money on combos?
Oh, I found the.
You're saying that in a future tense as if it hasn't already happened in the past
When
tense,
was
Ryan.
but I'm saying like when was the last time you had combos?
They were in a gas station one time. I want to say, when did I move up to the valley? 2019.
It's been a long time since you've had combos.
I know. I haven't seen them since. That's what I'm saying.
Just go to the grocery store.
That's called the universe.
What grocery store do you go to that stocks combos?
Kroger?
Well, the Ralph's out here certainly, which is owned by Kroger, doesn't stock combos.
I'm sure Vons has it, or John's definitely has it.
You know what? They don't. The one I go to a John's a lot, Jeremy. The problem is it's owned by Armenians, and I do not think they stock combos.
Whoa. Why is that a problem, Chris?
I'm kidding. They have to stock Sujuk instead. That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Hey, no knock on that, because Armenians, like the Armenian Johns, the produce is damn cheap. And fantastic Russian imports. I have a jar of clarified butter that did not cost me an arm and a leg. The only problem is the entire label's in Cyrillic, so I don't know when it goes bad.
Segment two? All right.
All right. I am ready. Oh my God, it's almost 9 o'clock already. How long was that break? Jesus Christ.
Longer than our usual break.
We are not doing a second break. I'm telling you guys right now. After we're done with this, we'll read off some alerts. I did miss a couple alerts. We'll get to them, but we'll get them after, and then we're done.
Dark Ample, it's very, I mean, you can use clarified butter for a lot of stuff, but also, I mean, I think I bought it for butter chicken. I'm pretty sure I bought it for butter chicken, but I also use ghee for plenty of stuff. Yes, ghee is clarified butter. It's the same thing.
That break was literally an hour and 15 minutes.
I know. Segment 2.
Wait.
Pride Detroit PODcast. And it's time to get on to the defense when it comes to our roster preview as we look at the state of the roster after the 2025 NFL entry draft. And let's just, you know what? We had to wait a while before we got into the offensive line and the bloodbath that happened at guard. Let's just go ahead and hit the touch the live power outlet right now with a fork, Jeremy. That is the edge position. Because I do not know if people have been sated for their bloodlust for more edge position over Brad Holmes. Ahmed Hassanain was a 6th rounder. He was a day 3 pick. As much as I think his story is extremely cool, he's going to need some seasoning. See where he's going to be on the roster. So that really still leaves us with a depth of a lot of guys like Josh Pascal, Levi Onwuzurike, and who else am I thinking of? Maybe John Kaminsky.
Do not consider him depth. I guess whatever. He's a starter.
No, I you know what? I cannot understand this weird hatred of Marcus Davenport. He's edge.
You can understand it, right? Like, you know why.
I can understand it, but I can also think that it's just not, as I said last podcast, I don't think it's fair to him at all.
Right.
And I think also then, the Lions stocked a lot of guys at defensive end over these years with Al-Qadim Muhammad, Isaac Ukwu, like Mitchell Agude. I'm not going to call it a bloodbath because I feel like, but it is a lot of guys who are going to be fighting for a position that I think a lot of fans feel will get filled when, not if, Marcus, which again, I don't think is fair to him, Davenport gets injured.
Yeah, I mean, Brad Holmes is, I don't know what game he's playing with the media right now where he's just like, I don't even get this obsession. Like, you've got to see why people are at least a little bit skeptical of Marcus Davenport, and if Marcus Davenport goes down, then I think it is fair to question, okay, who's the next guy to step up? Is it Josh Pascal, a guy that you've said this offseason you want playing more inside? Is it Levi Onwuzurike? Can he play more on the edge? Is Derek Barnes involved in this conversation a lot? Because obviously at the Sam linebacker position, he's going to be playing on the edge several times. Al-Qadim Muhammad, is he a guy that you trust? You brought him back after kind of a midseason addition there. How much will Ahmed Hassanain play? How much faith do you have in those guys that we only got a glimmer of in the preseason last year, in the guys that you mentioned, like Nate Lynn and Ukwu and Agude? There's the point being that there's far more questions than answers beyond Davenport. And maybe Brad has those answers, right? Maybe that's why it's all confounding to him, but we don't. We don't know whether they want to play Levi on the inside or outside more. We don't know if Josh Paschal has taken a step or if he's going to just kind of be a 5-tech and a 3-tech more. We don't know how much they like Al-Qadim Muhammad. We have known nothing about how much Ukwu and Agude took steps. So I get why people are stressed out about it. I'd like to see them add a veteran body there. I don't think they're going to go out there and get Von Miller. I don't think they're going to go out there. I'm still very questionable about them going out there and bringing back Za'Darius, right? Like I think Za'Darius is going to want more money than they're willing to pay. Otherwise, I wouldn't say they would have already gotten a deal done, because maybe Za'Darius is just playing the game of like, I want to do off-season activities. I'll sign in July. Respect to him if that's what he wants to do, but like I guess what I'm saying is, like, I see both sides. I see why fans are kind of freaking out at least a little bit. I think it is unfair to Marcus Davenport, but I also think like there's bodies there too. Like I don't know. It's frustrating because I feel like we've had this conversation every single year of the Brad Holmes era. Where are the edge players? Where are the edge players? And you got one really good. I guess like my main overall feeling is like, when you put it together with the defensive tackle room, that is still like 3 or 4 really good players on a defensive front starting, plus some future guys, plus some depth. Like, I'm not all that worried about the defensive line as a whole, but when it comes to that other edge spot, like, I get some of the panic is extreme, but I get some of the concern.
Yeah. I really do think they just view Josh Paschal as mostly being an outside close end guy, opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, who can like fill in and in a pinch. Like, I don't know how much growth there's going to be, because it kind of felt like he was the player who the Lions thought he was going to be coming out of Kentucky. Like, he was very much advertised as like an open box player, right? Like, what you're going to get out of him. Not necessarily sure about like what the ceiling is, but like he has all the traits that the Lions love. The interesting thing to me though is how they view Levi Onwuzurike, because he played, the most. I mean, obviously he just like played the most snaps in general so far of his NFL career, but you look at Pro Football Focus and he played 126 snaps lined up outside of, he played 283 over the tackle and then 275 at the 3-tech. So like there's I don't know if they love him out there or if that was out of necessity, right? Like, if they love him out there, well, then I understand what the contingency plan is for if Marcus Davenport has to deal with more injuries, right?
Sure.
And the sneaky thing in all of this, and I understand, like, I'm not going to throw all my eggs in the Marcus Davenport basket. I don't think the Lions have thrown all of their eggs in the Marcus Davenport basket. I think they're totally content with letting Josh Paschal and Levi Onwuzurike kind of man that spot. If they want to bring in another guy, they drafted as a 6th-round rookie who can show out in training camp, and hopefully they can develop a little bit and get him ready to be part of the rotation. They have Al-Qadim Muhammad, who they like. Like, I can understand the logic of what Brad Holmes did in bringing back Marcus Davenport. I also can understand people's consternation with him.
Right.
But, like, you just have to let it happen. Like, I don't know. I guess the alternative was, like, either let that happen or trade a bunch of future draft capital for an edge rusher. Like,
it just feels like it's not.
I don't know why it has to be
on a big enough name.
Yeah.
It's like, we want a bigger name. We want someone who's already established, a bigger name than this.
I think that was kind of Jeremy's point, where, like, you look at it on paper and it's like, wow, there's a lot of names here on this defensive line. It's like, I'm just not entirely sure what that position looks like for, 17 weeks this year.
Yeah.
Opposite of Aiden Hutchinson.
And maybe Aiden Hutchinson himself might just be enough to, having hopefully a full season out of Aiden Hutchinson will be enough to, like, resolve a lot of it. Because I think that was also the other point, is maybe people have just forgotten about Aiden Hutchinson.
He was a menace. He was a menace last year. Like, the Lions pass rush was great because he was great. And that's fine. Like, you can have that.
Yeah.
And I think
right.
one thing also to consider is how, how is that going to impact everyone else? Like, is Levi going to look like a better player with Aiden out there? Is Pascal
Yes.
going to look like a better player
Pascal, yeah.
when he's
Yes.
out there? Right? Like,
yes.
the answer is almost certainly yes with those guys. And remember, they were just kind of developing and getting into the players that they are now, mostly with Aiden Hutchinson gone.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Let's move inside on the defensive line. Lee McNeil being out to start the year has thrown the wrinkle for everything. Then the Lions have, at least here, put in a ton of resources in Tyleik Williams and his amazing cats. But there's actually quite a bit of depth at nose tackle when it comes to DJ Reader and Lopez. And I mean, we talked about this when we were talking about Tyleik Williams, Jeremy. Like, that's eventually, I feel like Tyleik's kind of in an interesting position where it's like, short term, he's going to be subbing in for one player, and then long term, not this season, but certainly longer on, there's a place for him to replace Reader. Maybe even this season if he plays well enough to replace Reader as a starter. But I mean, this is really interesting. Because I feel like, we're starting by talking about William as the 3 tech for McNeil while he's out, but then like, do you see him as the nose tackle then after that? Or
right.
Like,
it's a good question because it almost feels like when you're looking at his game, you're like, he's a nose tackle with the potential to be a 3 tech, but the Lions might need that in reverse order because Aleem's out, right? They might need him to play 3 tech, and he played 3 tech at Ohio State, to be clear. He's capable of doing it, but at 330 pounds and with as good of a run defender as he is, he might be a better fit right away at the nose tackle at the NFL level. But again, like, it almost feels like, no, why don't we see where that potential is at?
I mean,
at 3 tech
we saw some of Reader playing 3 tech as well, and it was not a fun experience.
Right.
So, like,
that's the thing. Like, the path of immediate playing is at 3 tech. Obviously, you have Levi, who might play some there. You have Pascal, who, again, like, the coaching staff that said they wanted him more inside, and they played him on the outside last year because they had to. See some of the 3 tech. Wingo, right? A guy, he's not going to be your starting 3 tech, but he should be ready by the regular season or close to ready by the start of the regular season. He had some promising snaps. So I'm kind of fascinated to see where Tyleik fits in right away and where he fits in long term. Like, I think it makes sense that he's kind of the nose tackle of the future just because there isn't long term answers at that position and he's 330 pounds. But also, part of me is thinking, like, do they need a nose tackle? Could they just go out there and run with 2-3 techs and be okay with that? Like, there are defenses that do that. They don't need a guy right over the center. They can mess around with that. They can make him interchangeable. Like, Aleem can still play a little of the nose tackle a little bit too. So I think like just the versatility of Tyleik is very intriguing to me. And I don't know which way they're going to lean early in his career and which way they're going to lean later in his career.
So I guess the question, Ryan, as I'm looking at it, is like, how do you even like gauge this battle? Are you just, because like I don't think in camp with Aleem out, there's going to be a lot of people to push someone like Tyleik at the 3 tech. But then when you start looking, but like, I don't think is he taking nose tackle snap reps while in camp to at least keep him warm for that as well? Like, I'm just trying to figure out this entire position.
I think they just have so many guys there, and that's, I think, a good problem to have, right? Like, I think I trust, one, Casey Rogers, and two, I think I have enough trust that like taking over this defense wasn't going to be like, such a huge task that somebody like Kelvin Shepherd can't handle it. So I do think that, like, yes, while we might be getting a little bit too caught up in exactly where people are playing, they just have a lot of productive guys who I think you have to look at it, I think, in more of a like who's playing on first and second down and who's playing on third down. And I think they have plenty of guys to play on first and second down, right? Like they have a ton of that. Yeah. I just want to know what it looks like on third down.
Yeah, like what's the NASCAR package?
Yeah, like is DJ Reader just going to strictly be like a first and second down guy for the most part? Probably.
I think so, yeah.
Right? Like the Roy Lopez stuff, it's like he seems like he could mostly just be like a first and second down kind of guy. Because we also got into that trap a little bit. I'm not saying that he can't, but like I think at this stage in his career, like DJ Reader, it's like the pass rush stuff is. I think it's secondary for Detroit. Like I think they want to have guys like Levi. That's why they talk about Josh Pascal and moving him inside. Like I think they want some more pass rush juice from that spot, and they have those guys. It's like, but I think you have to look at it more from that standpoint. Like who's playing on first and second down, who's repping on third down, who's repping on all of them.
Right. Tyleek's going to be one of those all of them, though, right? Like I think we can probably agree.
Yeah, and you think Aleem McNeil's going to be that guy too, right? When he comes back eventually. So great problem to have, Chris.
Right. Definitely a huge role for him on third down as you're laying out, though. Like that's the strength of Tyleek right now.
Yeah. And if you want to stretch this to the future, I mean, you've got three down defensive linemen that are going to be here for a very long time in Tyleek Williams, Aleem McNeil, and Aiden Hutchinson. Like those are three guys that two of them are probably top 10 at their position, maybe top 5, and you're hoping the one you just drafted is probably in that conversation at some point as well.
Which is why, again, with the Lions in like a base 4-3, like people obsessing over the second edge on the second defensive end seems still crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, and I get it. I get why you wouldn't want to trust Marcus Davenport long-term for it, and I get all of that too. But like as you laid out, you have 3 guys on a 4-man line for a long term.
But like also there's rotation involved in the defensive line, right? This isn't like the offensive line where all 3 of these guys are going to be playing 100%.
Every down. Yeah.
So like the depth is a long-term concern because really like when you talk about Onwuzurike, when you talk about Pascal, like those guys are on the last year of their deal. DJ Reader's on the last year of the deal. Lopez is. Mekhi Wingo is kind of like the one guy where you're like, okay, this is a depth piece that we have long-term. That's kind of it there in terms of depth.
Let's move to linebackers. Not too much drama here. I do want to go on a note, Jeremy, though, that you had because it has tickled my brain in a certain way. And now I know I was a big believer in the Lions drafting Jihad Campbell this draft. I didn't get my treat. The Lions, though, still have a pretty solid core group. But I guess the question is that, and you wrote this down here, and I'm going to jump straight over Grant Stewart and apologize to Grant Stewart right now. But rather than talk about the linebacker depth, this idea that you put here, and I'll just read it from our notes, could Alex Anzalone get re-signed? Like, he's in this position where, like, the age will eventually catch up with him, but, like, that veteran leadership is a premium right now. And you could still use his presence as a linebacker lining up anywhere, like, probably at the will right now, but, like, just how he's able to call out, put guys into position, the threat he represents in pass rush, and taking out the runner behind the line of scrimmage. Like, the production has not diminished at all for Alex Anzalone.
He's playing. I think I can say this safely. I think he's playing the best football of his career still.
Yeah,
and we a lot of time we looking back on the 2024 season, we're like, what's the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of the injuries on defense? Some people point to Aleem McNeil. A lot of people, I think, point to Alex Anzalone, right, where that linebacking core just, I can't stop thinking about the Bills game and how much of a disaster that was because they were starting, linebacker 7 and 8 in that game, and they were just torching them in the receiving game. And Alex Anzalone,
wheel route.
Yeah,
you were running out Ezekiel Turner and Trevor Nowoski, and they were just lost.
Right, and I mean, he's been such a key piece to the defense turning it around, and he's been a key piece, I would imagine, for Jack Campbell taking his next step. And listen, I think the trio of Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, and Derek Barnes is fantastic, and I don't necessarily want to mess with that. But Alex Anzalone will be 32, and I don't know. And listen, like, this team is going to be needing
31. He's going to be 31 in September.
He's 31. He's got a day after my birthday.
when you have to make the decision on him. Is what I mean.
Okay. I see. Yeah.
And so I don't know. We keep talking about like all these rookies, guys on rookies contract rookie contracts. Like, are we going to be able to keep all those guys around? You know, are we going to be able to pay Jamison Williams, all this stuff? Well, if you're paying Alex Anzalone what he's probably worth, which is probably at least like $7-8 million a year, makes everything a little bit tougher. And so that's why we were like, okay, maybe you draft a linebacker this year and develop him behind Alex Anzalone, and suddenly you're cheap at another position, and you can pay at another position elsewhere. But you're going to have to pay Jack Campbell pretty soon. You just paid Derek Barnes, and so that's why I kind of thought Alex Anzalone was probably going to be the odd guy out, but he's also so damn good.
Well, let me punch this to Ryan on top of Anzalone too, because one name Jeremy didn't mention there too, and I want you to talk on Anzalone, but also we haven't mentioned Malcolm Rodriguez, and how does he fit into the depth in your mind at this point? Because we're not talking about Rodriguez as a starter anymore.
No, I mean, he's dependable depth. He's somebody who, when things went a little awry and the Lions were without Alex Anzalone, it was like, oh man, at least the Lions have Malcolm Rodriguez, and the Lions couldn't even have that for very long. But I think they view him as great depth, awesome special teamer. He'll get a contract somewhere else after this year, right? So. Like, is that where we're at with Malcolm Rodriguez?
It's hard to say, right?
but it plays into the Alex Anzalone conversation. Like, he got a 3-year, $18 million deal when they re-upped with him, and was it 23, right?
I think so, yeah.
Like, is he going to be that much more expensive going into his year 32 season, or is it going to be like kind of like the Bobby Wagner, like, we're going to take this 1 year at a time kind of thing? Yeah, maybe. And maybe it is a little bit more. Maybe you do pay a premium because it's kind of that, you know. But at 32, you might be looking for like, hey, my last like 3-year contract I could get or something like that. But to Chris, your question, I think the Malcolm Rodriguez conversation starts with, well, are they bringing Alex Anzalone back for sure? And like, how expensive would it be? Like, how much do other teams, Jeremy, covet a player like Malcolm Rodriguez to come in and like start at linebacker? I don't know. I don't, and that's not a knock on the guy himself, right? Because he's dependable, but it's like, is there enough tape out there that says like, oh yeah, like, sign this guy to a Alex Anzalone type contract?
Could they give Anzalone some voided years, like on top of everything, like just, you know, make it short term, but just kick more money down to him?
I mean, yeah, you can do that for a year, right? Like if you're signing him to a 1-year deal and then you tack on 4 void years, it spreads out the cap space through 5 years in the first year, but as soon as it voids, all of that money comes up in the next year. So like, it would be 1 year it was cheap, but then the next year you're paying a lot for him not to be there. When it comes to Malcolm, for me, you have to think about it from his point of view, right? Because I think he probably thinks he can be a starter in this league, right? And I wouldn't necessarily argue against that. He was a starter in this league for a while. And so if the Lions go out and re-sign Alex Anzalone next year, if I'm Malcolm Rodriguez, I'm like, all right, I want to go compete somewhere for a starting job. And it can't be here. There's no opening. I do wonder about the, like, just like the theory of like, maybe Alex Anzalone is the Alex Anzalone. I'm sorry, Malcolm Rodriguez is the Alex Anzalone replacement. Like, maybe he's been developing like that. You know, he started out as a starter.
But that is a lot of veteran leadership to give up.
Sure, but at some point you have to, right? You can't have a team full of 34-year-olds. I think there's this perception that may or may not be true of Malcolm Rodriguez peaked. He peaked in his rookie season. He was a starter there. You know, now it's just he's good depth. He's a good special teamer, but like, he could also grow. He was a young player. Like, he could develop, and maybe. Well,
I think his problem is though that he can't grow like physically anymore.
True, he's small. He's small. Call him a shorty.
Right, let's move. Short king. Well, we call them short kings now, Jeremy.
I mean, it's. I don't think it's like when you put Alex Anzalone and Malcolm Rodriguez next to one another. It's not like Brad Golly and Jeremy Reisman kind of thing. But
how dare you?
Let's move to the DBs. Let's talk about. So, I guess I want to kick this, and I'm sorry if that's going over the microphone at all. I'm getting some nasty hiccups. Let me kick this to Ryan real quick. Just to lead this off before I get into a deeper conversation about nickel, but are you comfortable with the new 1-2 of DJ Reed and Terry and Arnold.
Very much so. Like, and I think that's why Carlton Davis was such a high priority this offseason was like, I'm not ready to hand the reins over to CB1, our number one guy outside corner being Terry and Arnold. Like, I certainly think he still has room to obviously grow into that, and I'm not going to make any sweeping assumptions about a player after their rookie year, especially at a position like cornerback. But I think when you bring in a player like DJ Reed, that assuages a lot of those concerns,
Yeah.
right? Like, cool, Terrian can have another year doing what he was doing before, albeit with a new defensive coordinator. So that's also something to keep in mind. But I think I feel really good about the cornerback room. Uh, I just want to know how it all shakes out. Like it's almost a little bit like the interior of the defensive line, where it's like there's a lot of names, and
Yeah.
there's like these guys can all fit in like different ways, but like
Yeah.
I want to
Everyone's so
see it in
versatile.
practice, right? Yeah.
And
So
I definitely feel like there is absolutely a premium I would put on the development of someone like Terry and Arnold, who by the end of the year looked, I mean, no surprise, a corner by the end of his first year in the NFL looks completely different than the games he was playing in September and far less handsy, able to, affect the play quite a bit more. Not going to have a ton of interceptions because Jeremy, the Lions, they look for their interceptions from the safeties, but just, I can like I fully co-signed Ryan that I'm comfortable on outside CB's 1 and 2, but outside of that, there's a lot to be figured out.
Yeah, I mean it's. I think Ennis to me is like the most interesting piece of just like where is that guy going to land? Is he going to be CB3 on the outside? Is he going to be the starting nickel? Like I think either of those are possible and maybe even likely. But at the same time, Amik was so good last year, both on the outside and at the nickel. You're just like, okay, well, where does he fit in?
You want to have Amik on the field, yeah.
Yeah, and again, like these are good problems to have, which again, like that should be a running theme tonight is that when we're nitpicking this roster right now, like we're complaining about Edge 5, we're complaining about DT4, we're complaining about what the roster looks like in 2027, like it's
boring questions.
They're boring questions and they're important, but at the same time, like yeah, it's the results of just having a really freaking good roster, and so I don't know where Ennis falls. Like to me, I think your week one starters are probably Terrion, DJ Reed, and Amik at the nickel, but I can't count out Ennis because at one point he was the guy that they viewed as the starting nickel, and then he got injured in the pregame warmups, and then it never happened again.
I guess that's kind of the issue for me is like because in my mind it's Terry and Reed and Amik, but like for me, I haven't gotten to see Ennis, right? Like,
Right.
and that's ultimately it's the mystery box. It's the mystery box. Rakestraw could be anything. It could be Amik Robertson. Like it just, but until we actually like get to see what Rakestraw can do on the field, how am I supposed to market that on like what he could potentially be on as a nickel? I guess that's kind of the tough thing about Rakestraw. Like I see the potential there and everything, but I haven't seen him do that in a Lions uniform yet. Even in something like a preseason or something where I'd have that all lined up.
yeah. Well, I think the nickel position helps us transition nicely to safety. If we're cool to
Yeah.
talk about that, because one thing that I know Jeremy pointed out, like in the aftermath of the Kirby Joseph extension and stuff, it's like, I mean, Kirby started to really come into his own once the Lions started moving Brian Branch away from the nickel and more to the safety role, right? Like that
Yeah.
was no coincidence that Kirby Joseph has a little bit more freedom to like freelance, and he can trust playing with somebody. Not saying that they weren't trustworthy players, but like it was a few games with CJGJ, and then here's the Tracy Walker experiment, and that was when people were getting kind of down on Kirby Joseph a little bit, like oh man, he's really hitting this sophomore slump, and then Brian Branch, that divisional game against the Buccaneers, and down the stretch against Minnesota and all the big timely picks that he made the the Kirby Joseph extension, Jeremy, I think is being interpreted by a lot of people as well. You can't pay two safeties, so like they're paying Kirby Joseph. They're like people are already worried about what does that mean for Brian Branch? And it's like it means nothing about Brian Branch because Brian Branch might be the secret ingredient that stirs this whole secondary.
Yeah. And you got to remember that the Lions value safety more than most teams because there is this perception out there that like safety is a low value position and there's like you shouldn't pay your safeties, kind of like the conversation about running backs, and to pay two would be ludicrous. That's not how the Lions view their team. That's not how they operate. Chris said it himself. Like, this team funnels footballs to their safeties. The corners lock people up in man coverage, and then the safeties come over there over the top and pick the ball off. We saw don't forget how the first 2 months of the season played out last year, where Branch and Kirby were like head to head, interception for interception, like battling each other. Yes, Kirby pulled away significantly, but Branch was a big part of that too. And so,
and Branch also has that flexibility in that you can probably play him in the nickel as well. Like,
question.
I mean, I don't think a Branch. I don't think just because they played Kirby at all takes anything off the table for Branch.
No, they move Branch to safety specifically because they're like, this guy is so good, we need him where he'll be most impactful. Safety. They love him. He's going to get an extension too, and you should not feel worried a single bit that the Lions for an offseason are going to have like two of the top 5 paid safeties in the league. It's fine. It's valuable. Kirby was their best player on defense arguably last year. Brian Branch was not far behind that. That's fine. Like,
you can offset some of those costs if Ennis Rakestraw ends up being a baller, right? Because then you get Terry and Arnold on a rookie deal, and you have Ennis Rakestraw on that same timeline. So like you can move those shells a little bit.
Yep. And so I like the structure of when we don't need to get into it because I don't think talking about structure of contracts over a podcast is necessarily anything people want to get into. It's fascinating though. Like, just the kicking of the can down the road of it is fascinating because his cap hit is low, very low. It's just under 4 million this year. It's under 6 million next year. It's just over 9 million the year after that. It's 13 million in the 4th year of the extension and almost 18 million in the 5th year. And so this is a contract that averages 20 million a year, and over the next 4 years his cap hit is never over 20.
Close to that, yeah.
The problem is like the dead cap on the year that he's gone is almost 40 million.
So what you're saying is Kirby Joseph extension already in the works.
Essentially, yes. Yeah, like it almost has to be. But you only make that sort of a deal if you are so sold on the player. And we know that they had that sort of buy-in on Kirby all offseason because it was never a question that he was going to get extended. Brad Holmes went out there and he says, "We're like, this is a core piece of who we are. We like everything that he is. He's a key piece." And I promise you in 2 years, he's going to be saying the same thing about Brian Branch.
It's just there's no depth.
The depth at safety is concerning.
Oh boy. That is one place where the Lions don't have a good number of questions to be having.
Can Broderick Martin play safety?
Probably not.
Can Colby Sorsdal play safety?
Signs pointing to unlikely.
But like, okay, so
Giovanni Manu cross train.
It'd be fun. It'd be fun.
Might be able to beat out Lauren Strickland.
But okay. So my running theory right now is Avonte Maddox is essentially safety 3. I know he's listed as a nickel. I know he's played a bunch of nickel, but he's also played a lot of safety. And I think it was Brad Holmes at the owners meeting who even mentioned that they like his versatility at safety.
Mm-hmm.
The question then becomes, does Dan Jackson make the roster? I mean, Holmes called him a 4-core special teamer right out the gate. So my inclination is yes. But can he be safety 3 his rookie season too?
That's a lot.
Maybe not. That's a lot for a rookie season. I think eventually maybe you can start thinking about him, but like as a rookie safety, that's whew.
Brandon Joseph couldn't call an Uber, huh?
I'd feel a little bit about
That's
it.
probably
right
where
there,
we
right?
want to end this.
The-
Let's
the-
just end it right there.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
that the Lions probably felt really comfortable with him being like the next safety off the bench, and he had that
Yeah.
role.
Yeah.
They did.
And
Well-
now the Lions are trying to figure it out. They're trying to slide into home plate.
Well, we've hit the baseball reference, so absolutely we are wrapping up here. Mailbag will be back this week. I know I keep promising first bite, and I keep getting hit over the head with a baseball bat of other work that I have to do in my life. So that's been behind the eight ball. I'll try to get there because we just talked a lot about vending machine snacks in between segments of this podcast.
You mean scraps? You said first bite. You meant scraps.
I meant scraps. First bite coming up though is going to continue to preview our
Recap.
recap the NFL draft and
Yes.
keep talking about teams and
Where-
the players that have come from those teams. Who do we got
Yes.
this?
And
Who's
you
up
can get
next?
that- We haven't started it yet, but we're gonna kick it off probably this week. I haven't talked it over with Ryan, but we'll kick it off this week. So you may remember a couple of years ago we did a podcast series for First Bite where we talked to college writers and beat writers and talked about the Lions draft picks and their careers there, get to know them on a personal level, get to know their strengths and weaknesses. That series will come back this year, but that is on Pride of Detroit Direct, our premium newsletter. So go to prideofdetroit.com/subscribe if you want that back in your life.
And on top of all of that, we are now on Blue Sky. I'm trying to post. I am running the account on Blue Sky right now. I know, trying to post as much as I can in the morning, but we don't really have a lot of integration with our software yet. So I'm kind of manually throwing stuff over there. What else do we have? What else do we have coming up?
That's it. What else do you want from us? How much is enough for you guys?
More. More.
Blood from a stone.
All right. I'm Chris Perfett. Jeremy Reisman's over there. Ryan Matthews is over there. As always, we'll see you Starside.
Recording stopped.
Okay. I had some nasty hiccups in the middle of that. Jesus.
Why didn't we do it last year, guys? Why didn't we do that series last year? I don't remember.
I don't
We were
either.
unemployed.
Job?
All right, let me get to some alerts real quick, and then I think we're gonna bounce out of here quick because it's
Yeah.
late.
It is, and I need to make something, especially since I'm back to drinking rum tonight.
Edward Krunsky, thank you for the sub over on YouTube. Ice Cecil, 43 months on Twitch, says, has it been this long already? It sure has.
Hell yeah.
Blake Winterbottom, thank you for the follow on Twitch. Goopek, 24 months, that's 2 years, says, how many cold weather away games after late November? Good question. We won't know for another
May
week and a
14th.
half. Yeah, 10 days until the schedule release, and we'll have something to talk about for a week. But next week, too, we'll have rookie minicamp, and you guys can talk about something that you didn't see. That'll be fun.
I'll just ask you questions about pre-scoring.
Sure.
Enjoy
He's gonna
Cinco
be-
de Mayo and not the nerdy holiday. Live long and prosper.
That's right.
I can, you know what? As a Trekkie, I can appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
K Fletch, thank you for the 20 months. Says, I have nothing fancy
do
to
I
say
have to
today.
hold them out?
Go Loins. Where's the belief? Well done.
What? I've got to put the thumb out. That's right. I keep forgetting that part.
Did you just
I
look
like.
it up?
I liked Next Generation, not the original one. They didn't have Vulcans in the Next Generation.
What do you got? Was that a pro or anti-Vulcan take?
No, that was Star Trek. You were doing Star Trek.
No, what you just said. You said you like this one because it didn't have.
No, it's just it was
Vulcans?
on TV. Like, I think so. There was the one from the '60s, and I just didn't
Yes.
watch it. It wasn't on TV, but like when UPN was running, it was like Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. Voyager just didn't interest me much, but that was the only one in the '90s that had a Vulcan in it. It was Deep Space Nine and Next Generation. Those were the shows I liked because Deep Space Nine had the best like setup, and Next Generation had Patrick Stewart.
Are Are Vulcans your TV Armenians?
Yeah, you're getting that from Twitch. I've got
Am-
nothing against. Why are you trying to put a wedge between me and Armenians?
Because you said the sentence.
I spend my
The problem
money at
with
their
this-
grocery
the
store.
John's is
I
that
get
it's
pizza
owned
with
by
sujuk on it.
Armenians.
How dare you say that I am
Say they
racist
don't
against
they don't
Armenians?
keep they don't keep combos in their store. And you haven't had combos in 7 years.
Yeah, white people don't keep those combos in the store neither.
They do. Kroger, Ralph's.
No, the Ralphs don't either.
Like eat a
You
pizza.
say that
eat
so
a
confidently. I don't believe you.
Yeah, like
I'm gonna look at their website.
You're saying it with such certainty that you sound like a bot talking about $2 gas
Well,
prices.
I
that
wouldn't
you
know
saw.
because every time I go to the Ralphs, they change all of their aisles on me. I will
So-
give Ralphs.
so now this is
the
a skill
Ralphs-
issue.
The Ralphs, by the way, near me is like two. You know how every grocery store is now putting like the security doors on their like pharmacy section, and pissing everyone off. My Ralph's is too cheap to do that. Instead, they've put like a wall on one side and force you to check out coming down the other side of the aisle.
That's true. Kroger is always cheap, and they don't do well by their employees. So
Interesting.
Jeremy's gonna order a Ralph's pickup order for Chris. It's like different flavors of combo. No, you gotta go by address.
Oh.
You gotta try pickup.
Huh.
Hold
I'm
on.
not
That's
gonna-
inside LA itself and not in the valley.
Yeah, type in Chris's address.
On screen.
Yeah.
The zip code.
Just say it. Just say it out loud.
Say it into the mic.
I'm putting it in right now. I will fight both of you. Yeah. I put it in and immediately everything's slashed out. Everything's slashed out because it's reading my address.
Oh yeah, because they only have avocado toast out where you live.
I'm not gonna read the latest Twitch comment, but it made me laugh.
California Pete's Kitchen.
I know it's
Median Ralph's.
This entire neighborhoods are. I don't know what is wrong with all of you. Why am I suddenly racist against Armenians?
Hey, I wanted to segregate my munchies, so I don't like all those foods.
this is it. We're finally getting
Oh,
canceled.
mingling.
After 10 years, we're finally getting canceled. This is great.
Is it
Not
9
quite
years or
10
10
years yet.
years?
Well, I guess it's only
quite
been
10
1
years yet.
It's only been 1 year since we've been canceled.
That's true. And for me, this would be the third. This we'd be going on the third time. For me specifically.
Oh, man.
Can I say this? Is
3
this-
strikes and you're out.
Maybe this will get us canceled because people will be shocked by this take, but I kind of like CPK.
Why?
Because the Thai chicken pizza is elite.
I
was
don't think
going
I've
to
ever
say,
had
the,
it.
The thing with CP with the California Pizza Kitchen is like you just don't do a straight tomato based sauce
No,
on it.
of
Like
course not.
because their whole call to fame was the barbecue chicken pizza.
Yeah. I know
Which Jets has perfected now. So
a Thai chicken pizza is probably an insult to Thai people and Italians, but it is
Whatever.
It is
What the-
amazing.
have you seen what the Japanese put on their pizza? Americans are not doing
Yes.
as poorly on pizza as you think.
I agree. I'm just saying. I need
pizza now.
one person in chat to back me up on the Thai chicken pizza. California pizza.
I
Kitchen.
haven't had it, but now that you've told me that this is a thing that exists, I will seek it out.
It's surprisingly good.
It
And I think
sounds
they
really
even have
good.
like
No, it
frozen
sounds
versions
really
of it. No
I remember
one's
being a
cat
kid.
pizza.
I remember being a kid, and my dad. I think we went to Scottsdale a couple of times around in December for a Christmas vacation, which I don't know. My dad had planned a lot of great trips. I don't know if Arizona was one of them, but I remember there was 3 places he wanted to go in Scottsdale, 3 different restaurants, and I have to laugh every time I think about them now because I see them everywhere. California Pizza Kitchen. Macaronis, and Marie Callender's.
I've never been to a Marie Callender's. They're all about like pie, right?
I thought
Yeah.
I thought Marie Callender's was just like in the frozen section.
It is, but there were actual like restaurants back then.
Hmm.
And macaronis is like that's when you're not good. That's like half a step up from Olive Garden.
All right.
Why are you guys doing Armenian jokes in the
I
chat
don't know.
now?
Like,
What is happening?
I'm gonna have to make that a muted
It's
word
not
on the channel in a
acceptable.
second here.
Oh,
All right.
cookies is so good. Oh God, I miss
I'm
cookies.
gonna go because I
Right.
want to eat food. But yeah, what?
When are we going to get Italian food since you ditched me last week?
Oh, because I was voluntold. Because
Because you went to prom for the first
When
time.
do you want to? I'm gonna let that roll off my
Yeah,
shoulders.
that was an unnecessary jam.
That was fine. My first prom was my wedding that you didn't go to.
Just go to that old hat.
Do I at least get
Hey.
points for going to your graduation?
You do. You get points for that. But I was singing old school rock and roll.
Just take those old
Or
records.
old-
Take those
rock and roll.
old records off the shelf.
All right. No. When do you want to go?
I don't know. Whenever. We can decide. I mean, we don't need to plan on stream.
Yeah. Sure.
But FF Toaster, thank you for the follow on Twitch. Texas Wolverine, thank you for the 38 months. And I think it's time for us to get out of here. We will have midweek mailbag sometime soon. We also have a part 2 of the subscribers only midweek mailbag from last week coming out soon. Yeah.
You guys got a problem with that. You guys got a real problem with how long you go for that.
I'm aware.
All right, that's a dark elf. That is enough.
Oh my God, Jets, get to hockey. What's happening over there? Game 7? Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone
it wasn't
go
looking
turn on
good.
your Game 7s right now.
I would prefer not to.
That's fine. You're not allowed to.
That
anyways.
said,
Oh, did
watching
the
the
Jets
Warriors
just tie it
open
with
up
3
this
seconds
league.
left?
No, they didn't. Or did they really?
Because it's 3-2 with 3 seconds left, and John just typed, "Oh my God, Jets."
It says tie
1.6
game.
seconds left. Awesome.
They
It's
tied
over.
it.
It's Game 7 overtime time. I'm not going to bed until that game's over.
Tweet. John Boyce tweet. John Boyce tweet. John Boyce tweet.
Head to TBS or Max, and we'll see you guys soon.
Imagine if you were following this game on ESPN. Like it said 3-2 end of third period.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's never good.
All right, y'all.